more steps toward unifying your battlegrounds experience, destructible terrain on Tago, and a new way to hide your vehicles. All this and more as we dive into the Update 35.2 patch report. First up, we're continuing to work toward unifying your battlegrounds experience. This update adds vending machines, previously a Miramar exclusive, to Erangel and Tago. You can also keep an eye out for medical vending machines that distribute first aid kits, bandages, and med kits. All these machines still have their chance at a jackpot, so test your luck when you run into one. In addition to this, Erangel is also getting Tago's destructible pots. Breaking these has a chance to give boosts, healing items, throwables, and even secret room keys. So embrace your inner Link and smash away. And speaking of destroying stuff, destructible terrain and the red zone have made their way to Tago. As before, explosives and the Panzerfaust will alter the terrain they hit, adding a bit more realism to that big, cool explosion. We've also added the pickaxe to the map for those who'd rather dig their trench a little more discreetly. For now, destruction on Tago will only affect terrain, so don't worry about the building you're in caving down on top of it. And on the topic of discreetness, you can now find vehicle camo netting on Erangel and Miramar. Deploying the camo netting to your vehicle will help it to blend in with the terrain around it, making it harder for enemies to see while obscuring tire positions. We've also toned down C4 a little by making it a deployable weapon that requires 4 seconds to set. This adds a little more risk to the reward instead of it being used as a nuclear grenade. There's also a new Survivor Pass, enhancements made to the inflatable boat, some improvements to the flare gun's UX, and lots more info about everything else we talked about. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 35.2 is here. So pack your favorite explosives and get ready for a little light terraforming on Tago. Just make sure you hide your getaway vehicle from the other survivors. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
12 maps has become just 4. It is the final night of the PUBG Players Super Cup here in the Americas, and tonight we will crown our second ever Super Cup champions. Chunks, Al-Qudsiya still looking to regain their throne, but there's certainly one team ahead of all the rest.
Yeah, it's Team Mirror that have really stolen the show. They've got themselves a decent points lead right now. I was just asking chat whether they think that Mirror are going to hold on. A lot of people rooting for Al-Qudsiya, a lot of people rooting for Team Liquid, but I have to say, in my opinion, if Liquid or Al-Qudsiya aren't able to get a really strong performance, ideally a win out of our first 2 games, I'm sure Mirror are going to be able to take off with it because they are such a strong squad. They get that momentum early. They're not going to lose it.
I think the big thing that surprised a lot of people watching at home is the fact that Mirror are consistently getting into the top 4s and the final 4s, and it just makes them so difficult to catch. To kick things off today, though, as always, it will be Miramar, then Tego, Rondo, and Erangel. It is 4 maps. It is blink and you will miss it. And for Team Mirror, they're certainly hoping that tonight goes by in a flash, because Chunks, if they start off badly, it could be a very long night indeed. But you know, we got tons of fantastic teams. Obviously, Liquid were heartbroken last time. They went out early with a chance to win in the last map. And what are they trying to win? That prize pool, $5,000, Chunks, but the majority of it, $1,500, will go to the winners.
Yeah, it's really important that you get that first place, especially if you're a squad like Mirror. You want to stamp your mark, as if they haven't done that enough through the tour already. But it's Al-Qudsiya that are our current winners. They're down in 3rd place, so we'll see whether they're going to be able to regain it and take first place for the 2nd Super Cup in a row, or whether we're going to have a new victor this time. It's Team Liquid that lead the leaderboards in terms of kills, but Al-Qudsiya, Mirror, both up there as well, getting the consistent survival time, the damage. But really, one thing that surprises me is it seems like Team Liquid Al-Qudsiya are not getting to the late game quite as much as Mirror.
Nowhere near as much. You know, they get involved in a lot more early game fights than I feel like Mirror do. Like, Mirror have a fantastic knack of just getting to the low traffic side of the circle and then working their way in for them and finding kills as the game progresses. And one of the players that has been leading that charge has been Kawazine, who has been dominating. And remember, this is one of the players that is under 18. They're not eligible to play in the first-person perspective circuit until after EWC, at which point I am sure they're going to show the world what they can do. But speaking of young gunners, D and Cowboy have been phenomenal for Al-Qudsiya as well, Chunks, and that puts them into 3rd spot, 19 points off the top.
Yeah, and I mean, young gunners is the theme of things. Look at Liquid as well. I spoke about it yesterday. Pretty much everyone on their squad, when I was, last around casting, was kind of still coming up. They weren't really at that tier 1 level. They were just breaking into the top level, as it were. But now they're really showing their dominance. They've got experienced players on the roster as well. So they've got sorry, I'm getting them mixed up with LG here. But yeah, LG are the opposite end of things, I should say. They are a seasoned roster. They are very experienced. I'm getting mixed up. Team Liquid, very experienced roster. LG, young gunners. It's really good to see a mix up at the top end of thing. But yeah, Team Mirror, absolutely insane so far. Really going to be one to watch. And the same can be said for a lot of those teams in the top half of things.
Yeah, it's a lot of the familiar faces that you would expect to see there. One team that I think maybe has flattered to deceive and you'd expect to see a lot more for them would be the likes of Potentially Dangerous. You know, they have played in PAS finals lobbies, they've won maps in those lobbies, but they've just really not got going at all. And I suppose the same could be said to 55 Esports. You know, they've changed. It was Typhon, who were very good in some of the earlier cups this year. Now they're playing under that 55 Esports banner. I feel like they've not really got things going properly for them yet either, but they've got tons of potential.
Yeah, I think when they were Typhon Gaming, they were a bit of a hit or miss team. I think that's a fair analysis to make. They had those really strong performances and they were getting a couple of points every game. It was one of those squads, though, where when they popped off, they really popped off. You're looking at a 20 to 30 point game for them. So it's just a case of being able to get 1 or 2 of those in, and they're going to be in a much better position, because right now, 10th place, that is a lot worse than we would have expected off a squad like them.
Yeah, but certainly there's not that many points between 10th and the top 8, so good game to kick things off, and you will never know how things go. Flight path, of course, starting up on that northwest side of the map, and that gives Mira a hell of an advantage, because if the flight path starts on your side of the circle by your primary drop spot, it means that you're going to be boots on the ground before everybody else. It means you've looted quicker than everybody can, and it gives you the jump on a ton of teams if the circle does shift against you. And I suppose the contrary could be said, Chunks, to the likes of Alcudia, one of the last teams off the plane. They'll be one of the last sets of boots on the ground. And I know we're only talking 20 or 30 seconds of a difference here, but PUBG is a game where every second really does have an impact on who's going to win the overall lobby.
Yeah, you really got to make those rotations early, get into that zone, and that is going to be a really good playing pass for Alcudia. Sure, they dropped a little bit later, but they're going to have priority on rotation. I think they're probably going to look to try and stay around this area, maybe move up towards Elazar. I'm interested to see what squads decide to go for that really far north rotate, because if you go to somewhere like Cruz de Valle, you get those hillsides, those cliffs, they can be really, really powerful, but they're so hard to rotate off of.
Yeah, early prio positions in a circle like this is going to be in and around where Njeke team are playing right now. You've got this compound on the side of the road that teams like to play defensively. Yes, I've drawn a picture on the pillar of the car now as we've moved on. But those are the positions that some of those teams that dropped at very late are going through. Like Alcudia have already sent Roth to secure a car, and he's moving north to secure some ground up on the high ground. I believe it'll be above El Azahar. But I'm looking on the other side of the circle, and it's like Mira, Carito, Rock, all on the outside looking in. All of them with an, oh my god, Zanganos a chance to get the Kings up and running, but Murillo is there, and JMS will be the first one to fall as Foradores will kick things off. And Chunks, if I'm not wrong, they kicked things off pretty nicely yesterday as well. They were in a top 3 in the after map number 1.
Yeah, they definitely were. I will say Zanganos kind of having the opposite fate, unfortunately. It seems like they have a habit of going down in the early game, which is not something that is easy to avoid sometimes, and it seems like that is really having a knock-on effect for them. When they make it to the late game, they do get decent performances, but they can't be losing players so often in the first phase of the circle. It's all well and good trying to get those kills, but ultimately Forador is coming out on top of that one. Now, just before we get deep into the game, we didn't get a chance to remind everyone at the beginning, so we'll do it again now. Anyone can take part in the Players Tour. All you need to do is be 16 years of older and get yourself 3 other players to play alongside. You can do !register in chat to get yourself signed up for the player scrims. That can qualify you for the Players Cup. There's a prize pool on the line there, and then the top 8 from the Players Cup, they make it through to this Super Cup or the next Masters, which is what is the next scrims are going to be qualifying for.
$20,000 up for grabs in the next Masters, and if I'm not wrong, we've got 2 Masters, and then there will be a cross-continental battle as EMEA will take on North America in the final Masters of the year, where the prize pool will be even bigger again. So it's all just building up to a crescendo at the end of the year. But we'll focus on that a bit later, because 55 Esports are pulling up on Hacienda. Foradores picked up a kill earlier. 2 players got inside the house of the boss, as Hacienda del Patron is known as. And it looks like they've just taken the Golden Murado. I suppose, why not? Get your bling and get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, get out of there while you can. Foradores, they've got themselves an early game point. Do they really want to be taking a fight against 55 Esports in Phase 1? I know that I certainly wouldn't. So they're going to make a rotate. Got to be careful of those cacti. There's, oh no, Foradores, Murillo, leaving it a little bit late on the rotate, ends up getting caught out by Kraken, and Fury are getting their first point on the board.
Fury are needed as well. Like, if they want to make a run on the final day, it all starts here. Pick up the points, pick up the kills where you can, see where you are towards the end of map number 1, and that'll give you a really good opportunity of growing into the game. Few things to note as well. If you don't have the map stream open, !map, and you can keep an idea on what is going on everywhere else around the circle. If you have the map stream open, you will see that Forever have just called in an e-pickup with Chunks, Team Liquid, and 55 now inside of Hacienda.
Yeah, this is a risky push from Team Liquid. I'm surprised to see so many teams pushing into Hacienda this early. Both teams trading out shots. Carax does get caught up, but he will be moving back a little bit. Sam Crow, Tony, they've already rotated up to the northwest, so they want to start trying to make their move back, or at least providing that covering fire while 55 Esports look to move. It looks like Psycho. I'm not sure whether they're going to be going for a vehicle or whether they're looking to try and rotate around this fight, but Purdy Curdy, if he hears that vehicle, might be able to find an angle and ultimately find a knock.
Yeah, and I think that he's gotten to the position, but just a second too late. 55, they'll rotate out of this. They're going to be forced away from a high priority position as Team Liquid will secure Hacienda for themselves. And You know, again, this is a good staging post for them. You're near the center of the circle. If the circle kicks away from you, you've got pathing rotations that you can make your way in. As I see someone in chat was asking if Liquid were involved, and yeah, they appear on your screen the second you ask. But Chunks, elsewhere, for those wondering, only 2 teams aren't inside the circle now, and that is Rock and Toyo, who are on the south and southwest respectively.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast to what we've seen in previous games. There's always seemingly a couple of squads that leave it a little late to make those rotations, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It all comes down to your playstyle, whether you're a team that like to get a strong position and hold, or whether you're a team that prefer to fight your way in. One of those squads will be Empire. They've already started to make their rotate. They're grabbing some high ground, looking down towards Elazar. And right now, for a lot of these squads, it's just going to be a bit of a waiting game. Most teams seem to be pretty settled in a position. I think the big question is going to be, how do Rock decide to play this? It looks like they're going to come past Crater Fields down that little valley. Could potentially go for the same position that Mirror or 55 are currently holding. So that's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, and with the flight path that we had and with the drop spots, this is the sensible rotation you've got into the circle, because most of the traffic will have been coming from the south or wrapping up the other way. So if you go on the very extreme western side, work your way up to the north, the likelihood is you'll find the path of least resistance into the circle. And even more importantly, you can get all the information. Oh my god, Sequencia caught out Punij, by the way, inside as Elazahar, as Empire lose 1, Zanganos picking up 1 in return. But getting back to my point, it's they can all Rock have to do once they get into the circle, Chunks, is keep eyes further forward. The same way Posa kept his eyes on every movement from Theros.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Adoras. They're losing yet another player early on in the game to Furia yet again. They're going to try and get the revive, I'm sure, but I mean, Furia, you can see they're sending a player or 2 inside vehicles. They might actually opt to push onto this one, confirm themselves the flush. As yeah, Empire, they lost a player earlier on in the game on the rotate. It's very surprising to me that you see teams decide to play Elazahar so early on. It's one of those positions that personally I'm not a fan of because of how difficult it is to make those rotates out, because of how vertical all of the terrain is around you. So Zanganos, now that Empire have a read on that position, could be in a little bit of trouble when the time comes for them to move.
Yeah, and I keep an eye on what they do, but they do have a kill on the board, which is a nice start to the day. I think that for Foradoras, things are looking a little bit worse. Now, they've lost 2 players. I think, unfortunately for Furia, that kill was stolen away as Sam Crow from 55 was able to pull on up and steal that one away. But when I speak about Hacienda being a great staging post and position to play for a while, Luke is demonstrating it perfectly. Like, you can see all the way into the barns. You can see the ridgeline way off towards the east. You can see the Crossroads compound. You can see where the Uncivil compound is just by the junction, a little further south of their position. They have got great angles around so many spots of the map, and they'll hopefully be able to use that to pick up some points.
Infinite tried to find the bolt shot. Gets aim punch, not going to be able to land it in the end, as phase 1 getting ready to close up completely. We'll see how this ends up shifting. There's a couple of teams that are banked for those northern rotates, but the majority of squads are going to be pretty central. We spoke about in Czech earlier as a team that are in a very good position. They're certainly going to try and hold on to that one for the time being. But right now we just wait. We see how this one pops and see if there's going to be any more early game engagements when those teams are forced to make a move.
Yeah, if you're wondering what Mira were doing there as well for the viewers at home, blow up the gas station by yourself. Do it so that nobody else crashing can catch you out by doing the same thing later. And let's see who's caught out by that circle shift, Chunks. Now, that's gone all the way to the south. So Rock, who rotated up to the north, are now going to have to follow the exact same path they just took to go back around the south. But there are positions that could be found to be played. But Chunks, I'm looking at this circle. So many teams who had kind of, made a risk on this going towards the east or north now need to phase their way through the center of the circle, and teams like Toyo, Al-Qudsiya, PD and Liquid have got such brilliant positions inside the zone.
Yeah, Alcudia right now have the best position, in my opinion. They're going to cluster up, send some players probably over towards Minas, and then the others up on top of the cliffs. But it's actually going to be Team Mirror who kick things off. Kawazine taking down Karax on the rotate, looking to maybe find a second. Don't forget, Team Liquid, they're nearby. They've already fought against 55 Esports. So 55 know there's going to be a squad down in Hacienda. They need to be careful about how they approach this one. But Team Mirror using that high ground to great effect right now. They've got themselves the very edge of the zone, so they're not going to have to move just yet. And if they get enough pressure onto a squad like 55, they might be able to eliminate 1 or 2 players. And then when that push has to come in, when they have to move out of this compound, they're going to be in a very strong position to take the crash.
Yeah, and these printing compounds that they're in right now are brilliant, as well as LFP shows off what he's done all weekend long. He finds a great knock from distance onto 55. Now, I'm not quite sure they're willing to risk it all, because 55 should get that res off before Mira would be able to push, but we'll keep an eye. Selfish here for Injeka team, who are playing as a 4 in map number 1 of the night. I think it's, if I'm not wrong, Andrew that they're missing from the team. And Andrew's they have pushed this, Chunks, by the way, but Andrew's a big loss as well. But we'll lock in, we'll talk about that later, because Tony has to contend with Mira, and Tony's just turning tail.
Don't blame him for that one bit. Mirror, they've shown the aggression already. They were in a good position. They're now playing a bit of a 2-2 split. Looks like those Mirror players are actually going to continue the rotate. So maybe Mirror not completely content playing out on the edge here. Remember, they've now split up 55 Esports. Tony's moved over to the west. He's heading in the same direction as Rock. As Furia now start to make their rotating, getting caught between 2 teams on the rotate. It looks like they're going to head in for the crash, though. Glock going to be playing point, trying his best to defend against Furia, gets the nade ready, ends up getting shot by his own teammate, running upstairs, realizes he's now completely surrounded, potentially dangerous. They need to group up and support quickly, but he's broken the window. They're going to have a read on where he is. Poster uses the third person, peeks around the corner, takes down Glock, Venom caught with the nade. Poster, low HP, throws down the smoke, will be able to get the heal off, and potentially dangerous in a very difficult position, trying to retake the compound with, I believe, just a solo.
Yeah, well, they had to, but it's just Slabby now, because he is the last player standing, and he's gone. PD eliminated in 16th place, and for Furia, not a single knock retrieve received on their end. They're going to be able to play this now. They've got a good position. Vehicle tires are safe, but the amount of times that you see the team playing in a building like this, no matter which one it is in Miramar, you always see a player run upstairs at the very end and get crowded out, and that's exactly what happened once more. Chunks, though, we're getting ready for that very next shift. I think if this goes south, Toyo and Empire will be licking the chops, but that is delivered to Alcudia. Now, there's a lot of work to do, but if you could have drawn them a perfect circle to get after that zone, that's the one they would have drawn.
Absolutely. Now, Alcudia, I'm not sure how they play this, but I think they're probably going to put most of their attention up towards Team Casito and the north, because that's arguably where they're most vulnerable from. They've got Empire down to the south. I can't see them making a push anytime soon. They're going to be happy in their hard cover. I will point out, though, Forever, they're making a rotate in from the southeast. If they decide to push over to Empire, Alcudia could very quickly adjust their attention down to the south. Now, let's remember, a couple of weeks back, we saw a game with a similar circle where it ended kind of north of Minas, where Alcudia, they just held onto this position for the majority of the game and got a huge number of kills out of it. So they're going to be looking to repeat that performance.
Yeah, a lot of these teams will be hoping to put in some good performances going into this game, and I feel like a couple of the teams that are in the hunt really need to step things up. Toyo, of course, and ever-present inside the Americas, these 4 players. Obviously, there was that roster change with Faravero coming in, but oh my god, Faravero, speak! And I just called his name and he appeared, and he gets that knock on the Look 12. You saw what I did there, right?
I like it. I like it.
I believe in Faravero. What? Who said that?
Zangardos, they're going to be trying to hit a spray over onto Forador as the 2 remaining players sending it up the hill. They should have a decent amount of space to work with ahead of them, but not all too much cover. Forever, they made a late rotate in, but Team Cariso were even later after rotating all the way from El Azhar down on that northeast. They pushed through truck stop, and now they are heading towards Forever. It looks like they're going to hop in the vehicle, try and make a bit of a move, but you cannot rule out Nubsky as he hits a lot of damage, will be caught in return with the mini shot. So Corito, they're going to have to pop some heals. Gidagod down to low HP. Maybe almost botched it for a second. Nearly going down to the play zone. Should be able to pop the first aid kit in time. Richie just trying to pop those tires, make the rotate a little bit more difficult for Forever when the time comes. As Pandarito, he hops in the vehicle, gets caught with a shot, but not going to be enough to get the knock, because his teammate providing that returning fire keeps Corito's heads down.
Yeah, Corito going to rotate in now with a Murado that's got a tire popped and a tire on its last limb, so maybe they might just struggle to rotate into the circle, but we will turn our attention to LG playing the uncivil compound. Got plenty of lines of sight now towards the north where Furia are playing. You've got Mira a lot further north of this position playing the cube building and the bottom side of that hill. Oh, I'm ready. I'm so ready, Chunks. Who's getting it? Who's getting it? Who's getting it?
They've got to send them up the hill to Alcudia. That's my only thought here. It's one of the only teams that, you know, is really in a completely open position, but time will tell us. Wow, what a hard shift. I don't think anyone would have expected that one. Mira going to be really happy in their current spot. Maybe, just maybe, LG could hit a mortar down in that direction, but it looks like they're actually going to be focusing rock, and we're currently quite out in the open. They're hopping in the vehicles, so they should be able to move out of the way before the mortars land, but they're still certainly close. If BL was still up, that might have been the end of him.
This is a crazy shift as well, and in particular, Mira have been gifted this circle because Alcudia and Liquid, two of the teams hunting top spots, now have to rotate around the exact same section of the map, and that will really to get rid of one of Mira's competition a lot earlier on. So keep an eye on Alcudia and Team Liquid as they rotate in on that eastern side of the circle. LG, they're battling with Furia here as well as they keep an eye on where Empire are playing. Empire, of course, with a couple of players up. Shinboy playing solo as they lost, I think it was Punage that they lost a lot earlier on. And look at that, just as I say it, D will get that first knock on the Team Liquid. And this is big because like even if Liquid get into the circle now, they've only got 3 players left alive.
Yeah, Liquid, they like leaving Sparking lingering out on his own, causing a threat for teams, but he's not going to be a threat for much longer. D is going to go for that run over kill, narrowly misses it, but I don't think there's any threat of that being flushed out by anyone else for the time being. Capitan takes down one from Empire, looks to follow it up with some shots onto Vox, but he gets just behind the rock in time. LG still not inside the circle, as Benya able to finish off the job, again playing out away from the team, causing that threat, allowing everyone to focus their fire. Then he just catches them from an off angle, and he's going to be able to call out the rotation from Corritos, and I'm sure their heads are going to quickly turn 180 and focus on defending their position.
Yeah, Faravero confirms that Shinboy now as Toyo move up to 3 kills, but they've got to focus on Alcudia, Corrito, Forever, who are all within their periphery. You can see the lines of sight. Benya clicks empty though. He's going to have to reload that MK, but with nice lines of sight, he should be able to put a little bit more damage onto Corrito, but the blue zone is his enemy. Toyo trying to get ahead of this pack to get into the circle in quick enough fashion that they can hold everybody out. Keep an eye on what they do next as well, Chunks, but I like this. Alcudia are securing the south of the circle, and they will be the gatekeepers for all these teams.
They've still got a player up top, but right now, K. Lopez manages to defend as Pandarito sends it in. Slump lands the trade. There's still going to be one player to worry about. He ends up flushing his own teammate, maybe thinking it was one of the Corrito players left up, but Slump, he is low HP. He's not going to use the first aid kit. Instead, focuses on flushing out the kill. They go down in 14th place. They will be able to get a point on the board from that kill, but it's out good. So we said they were flexing out. They're certainly doing that. Realizing Toyo, they're caught up against the blue. Now it's just going to be a case of landing in those nades. The first one connects from D. Capitan goes down. Faravero still trying to heal behind the vehicle as Roth and D both push through in the open. Michael trying his best to third party, not looking over towards Toyo. It's Roth that is now extremely low HP. Flashbang lands through, not enough to stop D from taking the peak. Goes for the spray, can't connect with the shots. Roth takes down one low, but Faravero's there to try and trade it. D finishes off the job. There's only one left from Toyo, but not for long as Roth uses the cover, gets up on high. 7th kill on the board for Alcudia now.
And remember, they were 19 points off of top spot going into this game, and they've reduced that gap by 7. Haven, he's going to get a knock onto Oranzira as he peeks around the corner, and Furia now lose another because they're getting third-partied. Here come Mira, Kawazine, and Co. push up over the ridgeline. Fexen tossing the nade over that hill, but as of right now, Furia are in a world of pain as Kawazine confirms out that kill. Kraken, last player standing. He's going to try get inside. He's going to attempt to go for the res, but that blue zone nade could cause a lot of problems. And Chunks, Vinny's just trying to stay hidden because Mira, they're focusing right now fully on Posa. So really, if I'm Vinny, I'm just hiding. Don't reveal yourself. Try live a little bit longer as Empire now turn their attention onto Al-Qudsiya.
Empire, only 2 players left up as Michael gets absolutely lit up from Team Mirror down the hill. He's going to be a little bit on his own. Balefrost tries to get the flush onto Rello, but he's not going to be able to confirm it. D is still out on his own in that smoke. The final player left up from Al-Qudsiya with Team Casito starting to crest over that ridge above them. They're backfilling very well right now as Michael throws down the shield, gets a little bit of extra safety. Sequencia, though, is not going to be safe. Neither is at best as Souls lands the spray. Zangarnos just failing on the rotate, getting absolutely wiped out of that vehicle, only going to be very left up, and he's focused towards Foradoras, actually decides to hop in the vehicle, maybe going to try and make the send of his own now.
And just look, every single time you see a knock or a gunfight, somehow Mira are able to capitalize and steal a kill or 2 away. It's what they need to do to be able to keep securing that top spot. You're up on the north side of the circle. You've got Furia nearby. Viri will have to make his move into the circle, but for now, really, if you look at the way they're playing, Kawazine, he's the player that's keeping an eye on everything off towards the center of the circle, while all the rest of Mira's eyes are focusing on what Furia are doing. And in fact, now they've left Fana behind. Fana will be the player that will keep an eye on what Fury are doing, while the rest of Mira try to secure even more space inside the circle.
They just want to get this kill so that they know that they're clear from behind. Forador as they're making a move but getting absolutely lit up by Team Casito. Mira, Fury are both going to have to push through a very similar position right now, so they really need to try and finish off very sooner rather than later, because that solo could always be a thorn in the side of Mira. I'm not sure how Fury decide to approach this, whether they want to take the fight onto Mira then worry about rotating, but you got to think if they try and take that fight down to the north, then LG, Empire, they're both going to be looking in this direction. Viri tries to land the nade, but it's not enough as Kawazine yet again finishing off the job. Zangarnos down in 9th. We're into the top 8, and now we are now getting into the placement points.
Yeah, they've got 6 kills. Remember we spoke about Al-Qudsiya trying to close that gap and how they had managed to attain 7 kills. Mira already have 6 of their own as well. So despite how good this game has been for what's left of Al-Qudsiya, Mira are essentially matching them stride for stride, which is all they need to do with them and Liquid all night long. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, Fixin got it before they could even really get a proper chance to line that one up. But it's another kill for Mira.
That's unfortunate. I love seeing the mortar kills, especially in the late game, but it's not to be right now, as I think it was Team Casito that launched that out, unless LG picked up that mortar from earlier and decided to move it with them. Right now, though, it's going to be Furia trying to make their way out of the compound. Team Mirror working up the hillside, narrowly avoiding getting taken out by them. Gazera playing point has to expose himself heavily to the south, as LG, Empire going to start looking down in this direction, causing them problems. Gazera, he's forced out into the blue zone, taking a lot of damage. We're in phase 6 now, but he should be all right for the time being. Kraken has actually been able to make it into the circle. Fury are probably going to play off of that position, as Team Casito now trying to make something out of their position and finish off the final player from Al-Qudsiya.
Yeah, tons of utility being invested to go for this clear, but D still stands. Now, D is one of the young monsters coming through the American scene. He used to, of course, go by the alias of Monster, but changing things up was Fadeaway, then was Monster, now is playing under D, just in case you don't recognize the name. But looking elsewhere, Mira, Fana will move inside the circle now. He's got Rock not too far away. Balefrost inside the circle for Empire. 1 kill for them, Chunks, but they'll hope that they can get something good going off this game as well, because they are inside the top 8, and the more places they can climb, the more of that share prize pool they'll get as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we spoke about D for a little bit, but for a little bit of background, I remember him playing under Fadeaway, and I think he was consistently performing at the top end of things in those like Chinese and Korean scrims that he'd often take part in. So he's definitely had a test of fire to start out his career, and there's a reason that he's kind of come out of nowhere, and now he's appearing as one of the top players in the Americas region. So definitely one that Team Casito do need to be concerned about, and if they are aware it's him, then they're definitely going to be a little bit cautious about this solo. They need to be even more cautious now as Bran gets taken out by Snakers. LG finally starting to get some knocks, but they're not able to convert them over, and they need to start worrying about pushing into Empire. They've got themselves a decent enough position, but they need to open themselves up over this ridge. If they can't finish off Empire quickly, they're going to be very open to teams like Mirror, like Rock, like Furia that are further down the hillside.
Yeah, and Furia, though, they've got their hands a little full right now, working their way in. They've got Mira peeking up over the ridgeline. Faxon will get a nade ready for now, looking to be the opening of this engagement between these two sides, or at least the opening of the sequel, as D finally falls in 6th place, and Kraken with the links will get that knock, and that's the go signal now for Fury. It's a 3v3 and they want to catch Mira cold. Damage being dealt, Kawazine falls, but Faxon is Johnny on the spot to trade it back, but Posa now feeding information. Posa wins those. LFP will go for the trade, but he's in a 1 versus 2. Posa needs support, but LFP will get the kill, and now he is in a 1v1. Stun from Kraken, but LFP will walk into the smoke. Molly is thrown, but LFP will manage to stay away from the fire and the flames. He throws a stun of his own. Remember, information is being fed this way. LFP erupts in the flames, but Kraken wins those, and Furia will manage to at least get a couple of their players back on their feet. 5 teams left alive, and Mira will be getting nothing else but Chunks. Empire now in Luminosity, locking horns.
This is going to be difficult for LG to push up this hillside. They're using the smokes for all they're worth. It's a 2v3 right now, so Empire just looking to try and isolate players, but Michael, he's got a read on 3 of them. Takes down Bizzler, takes down Gats with the support of Balefrost. Only going to be Snakers left up inside that smoke. He's low HP. If Empire spray through it, they should be able to get the knock, but they're out of ammo, and they're out of time as the third party comes through from Furia. They start getting involved. Snakers finally peeks up, but he is going to be getting caught by Bran in the off angle in the end. Does take down Balefrost and Michael, so that's the end of Empire, followed closely by LG. 3 teams now remain, one of whom being that solo from Rock, just keeping his head down, maybe hoping that Furia think it's a 3 versus 4, but no, that's not the case. Souls pops up, takes down Kraken, and now causing a real headache for Furia. Surely when he comes out of this building, he is going to be absolutely lit up by Team Casito. That's the case, but somehow gets behind cover.
Yeah, and he's more importantly got plenty of time to met up inside the blue. But what an opportunity this now is for Team KZito. But the longer you waste time focusing on the last player for Rock, the more of an opportunity you provide to Furia, who are wrapping around the side of the circle as well. The high ground works in favour of Team KZito. Robert should be feeding that information if he's able to spot out where Posa and Gizera are playing as things stand. But Chunks, I don't think Team KZito are going to get a better opportunity all night long to get a big points haul to finish things off on a map.
And this is what they needed as well. They've struggled a little bit, but we've known that they can pop off when they make it to the late game. Now it's just a case of being able to finish the job. Circle going their way as Robert starts to get proactive. He's holding a fairly central position, just trying to make sure that Furia aren't able to rotate. Souls has been spotted out by Aliv, but they've got no more util to use. Think about how much they used trying to get rid of D earlier. They haven't been able to loot many bodies, so he's just going to switch over to that SLR, tries to pre-fire, but not to be. He's got the cover, so Furia shouldn't be able to find an angle on this just yet.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye. Ali has got to be very, very careful as things stand, because if you keep focusing on Souls, you open up the window for Furia to make the move up, and Souls is just going to deny to the blue at this point. So no point for Furia, no point for Team KZito apart from the extra placement, and now here come Furia. 12 kills on the board already. Posa has got Robert locked down, but Robert will get a shot back the other way as both these players trade shot for shot, and that leaves Gizera Chunks in the 1 versus 2 on the other side, and Ali will step up and get it, and Team KZito up to 4. Are they about to get a 6-kill win?
Certainly going to try to, but Posa is not a player that you can rule out. Phase 9, it's the dot down in the middle. There's going to be no more shifts, so it's all about getting that central position early. Robert, he spotted out Posa now, just waiting to take the shots, wants to make sure his team know that this is where the player is. Bran is waiting for that head to poke up as Posa seems to be dialed in. Neither player connects with their shot, switching over to the MK12, trying to connect with something, but not to be right now. They're just looting up, trying to find some util. Bran, he's got no vest and he's got no first aid, so he's going to be out of the fight for a little bit while he pops those bandages. Now is the time where Robert really needs to start putting that pressure on, making something happen. The Molotov, it's actually shot out in mid-air, so Posa really nicely done to not get forced out of this ridge just yet.
I love how Team KZito are taking no risks here. Like, they're all peeking, they're not collapsing on top of Posa in any way, shape or form that would allow Posa to get a knock or two and win this game. They're just playing very close together. They know that at some point the blue is going to force Posa to move, and here comes that send now towards the end because they've realized the circle is close enough. The smoke is there. Posa will get a spray onto Ali, almost will discover the knock, and Robert, he chucks the pan. That would have been a fun way to finish tonight, but they're just BM, and Posa's got 48 bullets. Chunks, this is all but done.
Team KZito, they get the win, being cautious in the end game, but making it count. 6 kills and the win, but look at that. Furia stealing the show in terms of kills, damage, and assists. Beautifully done. And Team KZito getting 16 points out of that game. A slow end game for sure, but again, Team KZito, they needed that win. They had to play it cautiously. They couldn't overcommit, especially against a player like Posa, because you saw what he was able to do as soon as one of those Team KZito players peaked up as a solo. He was farming damage, cracking vests, and I mean, Team KZito, they were out of meds, they were out of util, they were out of vests. That could have been a dangerous fight if they had overcommitted too early.
Yeah, let's not talk about the fact as well that Team KZito, like, as far as like winning the tournament and getting up in the placements, I feel like Furia needed that win more, but Team KZito sitting in the bottom 2 before that game started, those 16 points will give them a huge jump, and it gets them within touching distance of the money spots inside the event, as well as we see how some of these teams picked up kills. But the main thing for me is Mira getting inside the top 8 once more, picking up 6+ kills, doing more than Liquid and Al-Qudsi were able to do. They are just doing exactly what has to be done to close things out.
And that's the most important thing, isn't it? Get yourself those wins. It's all well and good going for those high kill games, but sometimes you're just not going to be able to. And Team KZito, they made the most out of a tricky situation. They didn't have the best position, having to backfill into Al-Qudsi, so they were really successful in being able to slowly work their way through teams and get themselves a win. But ultimately, it's Furia, 2nd place and 12 kills to go with it, who get the most points out of that match. That is going to be a really good one for them. But look at that, Team Mirror, 9 points, tied with Al-Qudsi, so that 1st and 2nd is still going to be close. Furia and Rock closing in now.
Yeah, Furia and Rock getting points on the board, but still 9 for Mira keeps that gap climbing as we get ready to turn our attention over to the overall leaderboard, where we'll find out which of these teams is making the most moves. Now, I'm looking at Empire, 6 points, inside the top 8 for points a game, but they'll need to pick up more than that if they want to get into the real good money spots inside this lobby. But all in all, a lot of teams having a big impact, but the big one for me, Liquid out in 15th with 0 points. That makes it even harder for them now to catch Mira. It actually drops them into 5th spot, and with that big game, Furia now leapfrog them as they go into 4th.
So Furia, Rock, Al-Qudsi are still going to be looking for that big game as we head over to game number 2. It's really close at the top end of things, but Team Mirror, they just need to keep that consistency up. 1 win for them, and you've got to think that that will confirm them the overall 1st place and crown them as our 2nd Super Cup champions. Al-Qudsi, though, they are still close behind. 1 good win from them. They've closed up that distance. They might be in the chance of getting back-to-back Super Cups.
You never know, but if they want to get things going, they really need to get it going in the 2nd map, because there is only 3 games to go. We're going to jump into a very quick break, though. When we come back, it will be Taego. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few. Hope you guys used that short break wisely, got yourselves hydrated, got yourself snacks and popcorn for what is going to be a great rest of the night. It is Taego coming up next, Chunks, and on this map, we've had... Is hot drop the right term? There've been lukewarm drops all cup long, but finally yesterday we saw one of these teams really become the aggressors for a change.
Yeah, we got to look over towards Fishing Camp, don't we? 55 Esports, potentially dangerous, consistently dropping there, and just as consistently as Alcudia coming in and trying their best to third party. It was a fun one for sure yesterday. Now, before we get into the game, I do want to just remind anyone that you can sign up for the Players Tour by doing !register in chat. You can play through the Players Scrims, qualify for the Players Cup, and then potentially be in the next Masters, which has a $20,000 prize pool. Remember, it's free to enter. You just have to be 16 years of age or older. So get yourself a squad together and get involved in some PUBG Esports.
If we were allowed to take part, which we're not because we're casting and we can't cast and play at the same time, I'd be entering just to get a chance to see how I could do in lobbies against teams like Falcons, like Liquid, like Alcudia. Now, I know you got to perform in the scrims first to make your way in there, but just to give it a chance. Like, we've seen teams come in, and we'll be honest, the first event, the first cup that we had, where we had proper third-person teams taking part against the tried and true NA core of first-person perspective team players, they struggled. They found it so hard to deal with the tempo, the pace, the mechanics. But the main thing for me has been they've been getting better week over week over week. And one of the teams that are an example of that is Team KZito, who have made roster changes. The roster looks a little different than it did the last time they played inside of a Super Cup, but they've been rewarded. They managed to find a win in the last game.
Yeah, and it was a really good one for them as well. They were in 15th going into that game. With that win, they've jumped all the way up to 11th. If they have another performance where they're able to get the same number of points, they get all the way up to placement territory now, where they get themselves that prize pool. Remember, it's the top 8 that get a share of the prize pool. Granted, the majority of it goes at the top end, but if you can make that top 8, at least you're not walking home empty-handed. It's certainly an exciting one to watch. I'm thinking, Gibson, all right? Are we allowed to take part in EMEA? Because we've got half a squad ready to go.
You know what? Me, you, we're based in Europe, so we meet the eligibility criteria. We could probably sneak Godspeed in to get a pro player, and if I'm not wrong, Falix could be available. Yeah, why we could get a pretty good caster duo to donate points to the rest of the teams in the lobby.
Hey, we're gonna have to do some research into that. Ask some people some questions, because hey, I mean, we keep talking about, if we had the opportunity to be taking part, we'd be getting signed up. Hey, if we're able to, of course we're going to get signed up, because you get the opportunity to win cash for playing PUBG. All you have to do, again, is do ! Register, sign up for those player scrims, make it to those player cups. So certainly an exciting prospect, especially if you've got a background in TPP and you haven't really felt like you had the opportunity to get involved in competitive. It is the perfect time to give it a go. But let's talk about the game that we're currently in for a minute. Potentially dangerous. They went back to fishing camp. 55 Esports, they've actually landed down towards the swamps now, so we're not going to see that hot drop. But what we will see is a good chunk of that Northern Island is still going to be inside of the zone. So if this thing moves up to the north, it's going to be very messy rotations.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what happens. I find it very unlikely that it will go there, but PUBG has done stranger things. The hot drop didn't happen over by fishing camp. Al-Qudsiya didn't drop inside of Palace, which is what we tend to see. And it is due to the flight path as well. Like, Al-Qudsiya couldn't realistically reach there. A lot of teams go for their secondary drop spots, and forever now they find themselves in a rough spot. Vox has dealt some damage on the Nubski. He sprints across the wall, picks up a Panzer. He is daring them to come this way. And with Panadorito now there as well, all of a sudden, this is not... Even though this is a 2v3, this is a 2v3 crash, but that Panzerfaust in the hands of Forever and Nubski could blow things up figuratively and not just literally as well. Jumping up on the wall. Here is one. He misses the Panzer though, Chunks, and Bizzler as the AR out, and that's the opening blood drawn in this battle for the compound.
If Bizzler didn't hop on that roof, then you got to think that Panzer does a lot of damage. But now LG, not only have they been able to take out one, they've also got the majority of the squad in position. The BZ nade did a lot of damage onto Pandorito, but it's the frag that finishes off the job. A second one lands over onto Slump, and that's Forever out of the game. That is such an impressive crash coming out from LG. I'm really surprised that it ended so quickly. But look at this. Bad Kevin, the final player left from Forever, now completely surrounded in this compound by Team Liquid.
Ah, yes. Poor Forever. Luminosity crashing in one spot. Liquid crash. Poor old Bad Kev. Now, if I'm Bad Kev, worst case, best case scenario is you wipe out Team Liquid, but that's really unlikely. What you want to do here, and if you're watching, was get a knock and flush it instantly. Guarantee 1 point for your team, because that might be all you're going to get. Now, Luke 12 might just be the sacrifice. He's running around. He's got no gun at the ready. Kev's made noise. Yep. Kev has made some noise. A nade now has been pulled. They know exactly where he's standing. He tries to beat it out, but he peeks across, does 60 damage, but doesn't get the knock at the first time of asking. Luke 12, he's going to step outside. He's going to jump. There you go. There's the kill. Forever are eliminated. But Kev, he made a noise, and that was that.
That is unfortunate for Kevin. You really would have hoped that he managed to at least pick up a point for his team, but not to be this time, as Liquid concisely cleaning up that fight. Luke 12, nice work. Even while getting taken low, he was able to finish up the job. They're going to have themselves a little bit of extra loot now, not like they need it. Luke 12, he's playing almost like he hears something down to the south. I'm not sure whether he heard the vehicles from Toyo, but they do need to be cautious, because Benye is going to be up on this hillside very close to them.
Yeah, and then you've got, like, the thing about Toyo is they're really good at capitalizing on others' mistakes. Gizera kicking things off the right way for them. Furia with a big point tally in game number 1, looking to add to it this time of asking as Gizera will get the quick knock and flush onto K, and that'll force the rest of Corrido onto a retreat. Maybe Furia's other players might be able to catch them out as they work their way into the circle, but you know that inverse donut effect that I always talk about? I
think you mentioned it once or twice.
It is really happening in this circle right now. It is so congested in the circle, and that's because everybody is wiping out the north from their mindset. They're not classifying the north as being part of the circle, so they're going further south.
I mean, Alcudia are still playing like it's a possibility. They have that crossroad fishing camp area that we've seen potentially dangerous and 55 historically dropping in. So if this does pull up to the north, they're going to be in a very good position to make that rotate. Of course, end up gatekeeping a lot of squads. Team Mirror, they're looting up. But they need to be careful because Sequencia as a solo is going to be nearby. The rest of the squad a little bit further down to the south. So they've got high ground onto this. But it's Team Liquid looking to open up the next engagement as they spot Jedshot on the rotate. One more bullet will be the end of him. Purdy Curdy looking like he wanted to focus those tires for a second, just not able to connect.
Yeah, one more shot should do it though. Jedshot's UAZ is about to blow, and Luke 12 will get the knock before that can happen. And Corito lose another, and his car will flatten and pancake him, and that does Liquid a favour as well. That car pancaking means that nobody else can steal that kill as well. Liquid now up to 2, and they need it right now with the fact that they dropped the donut in game number 1.
Speaking of donuts, someone's asking about the inverse donut. We keep talking about it. Gibson, You're the creator of this term. Break it down for me. What do you mean when we say inverse donut when we get a circle like this?
So traditionally, a donut would have a lot of space in the middle. It'd be empty in the middle with all the good stuff around the outside. However, in an inverse donut in PUBG, what that means is if you picture the circle as your donut, all the teams are in the middle, and then that leaves loads of space around the outside of the zone for teams to pull into. So, for example, in this circle now, you have Rock playing on the edge of the circle while everyone else is playing towards the center. What that means is you've space to rotate into, but what it also means is you're taking a risk that if the circle pops your way, suddenly you're gifted a really good position in the zone. And what I've done right now is A, explain what the inverse donut is to everybody in chat, and B, really give myself the craving of a donut as well, which I can't get because it's 1 in the morning in Europe and everywhere that does donuts is closed. Oh my God, Sam
Crow. I think you made the whole of chat hungry right now, but Sam Crow, he's hungry for blood. Takes down Robert with a beautiful long-range headshot. Doubt he's going to be able to get the flush onto that one, but again, in the early game, it's not necessarily about converting over to kills. It's a lot about weakening your opponents. Remember, every time you get knocked a little bit faster. So sure, Robert, he's going to be able to get picked back up, but the next time he gets knocked, if he's out as a solo, he's going to bleed a lot faster. So the chance of him coming back into the fight is very thin.
Yeah, that's it. And like, you're thinking about other fights that could kick off here, Chunks, like Mira. They're making a lot of noise towards just south of Furia's position, just to let everybody know that they're there so that nobody will crash their compound. Empire, though. Richie, Balefrost got to be careful. Balefrost is driving directly now towards where I think that was Richie was playing, and Balefrost gets the knock. So almost lost his life, but manages to win the fight, and that's another member of Corrido down.
Still got to be cautious. Gittergod's nearby. Granted, he is a little bit surrounded. Michael going to be heading straight towards him. If Gittergod's able to land the spray, it could be huge, but no, he doesn't. I don't think Michael spotted it out either, so he's going to be safe for the time being. Could cause a bit of a headache here for Empire Gaming as well. Yeah, of course it happened. It shifted hard up to the northwest. Alcudia, they sent Roth along there earlier, and now they are going to group up as a team. They have high priority inside of this zone. This is a team that in the past has bridge camped. They could potentially end up doing the same.
Oh my. Oh my, this has actually got a real chance now of going to Palace because of how much of the land is in that section of the circle. So, Alcudia took the gamble, and right now, it might be about to pay off in full. This is like, for them, this could be like investing in Bitcoin in the early 2000s. Like, they're in a wonderful position as things stand. You can see now, Foradoras, they're moving across that bridge. Don't be surprised if Rock rotate all the way west, but keep an eye on Mira. They've been picking up points all day long, and they've just done it again. Orange Zero will fall. The rest of Injeka team, they'll go a little bit further south, down inside the valley, but LFP will hop on out looking to cut them off. Maybe he can deal more damage, aiming for the tires. Hits the head instead, Chunks. And that headshot, rather than a tire shot, probably saved Injeka team.
It's ironic to think of, isn't it? Oh, I got shot in the head. That really saved me right there. But you got to think, if they had spun out in that position, the entirety of Mirror would have been focusing their fire onto a single vehicle. So Team Mirror, they're going to head out into the blue zone a little bit now, making that wide rotate. Probably going to try and come in through Yongchon. As LG, they're taking that northern bridge. But we mentioned about a bridge camp. For Adoras, they've actually sent Theros onto the edge of the bridge. He could be looking to pick up a couple kills here.
Yeah, this is the thing. Points are going to be a good commodity for a lot of these teams to be picking up now over the next few minutes, with a lot of teams rotating inside the circle. Team Liquid, they've managed to make landfall inside of Palace, as Al-Qudsiya are trying to be the ones that benefit off the back of it, but no damage of note being landed on the Sparking, who'll be able to dip himself into cover. And they're not going to be the only one. Like, don't be surprised if 55 make their way into Palace. Furia might make that exact same drop as well. It is about to get very hot over by Palace.
D trying to land the shots onto Luke 12 as he parachutes in, but they're just not able to connect. Team Liquid, they've sent it into Palace. 55 also going to be here. It looks like Furia, they use that E pickup. They might be dropping for the same position. If they hear the shots, they might decide to go up to the hills on the northwest. But don't rule out the fact that this could move down to the south. And if you're a team like Furia, where you've used an E pickup to get up here, it'll be very difficult to make it back down.
Yeah, and like, I don't know where some of these teams go from here, though, Chunks. Like, some are just going to gamble. Like, 55 have gone for a 2-2 split. And I don't know where, I don't know if you get to cross that bridge later on in the circle if you need to. Rock are going to stay put. They're going to hold and hope it goes south. PD, I think, are going to do the exact same. Like, a lot of these teams have said, we've not rotated quick enough. We're happy with where we are if the zone shifts south. And at this point, they're happy to take the risk, right? You take the risk. Like, all these teams now, except for 55, who are going for a 50-50, are pretty happy with how things stand, right? Because if it goes north, you can get in gunfights here, and it's gone north. So you're going to look for points, right? See this spot right here? It is about to become a massacre.
Yeah, this circle is like the worst of both worlds in a certain way. Sure, it's gone up to the north, but look at how much water is in this. We're basically in phase 4 at the moment. You could even say phase 5. I thought for a minute that Infinite was just going to deny points this early on. I thought he was out in the blue, but no. He's preparing in case LG come over this ridgeline. Rock, they're going to come over the bridge, trying to land the seat swap over onto potentially dangerous, but it doesn't connect, and they've got a bit of a difficult rotate ahead of them now. 55 Esports, they're already posted up in the compound up to the north. I'm not sure whether they're just going to try and play these dips or whether they want to continue rotating in, but Foradora's trying to deny the rotate for LG as Infinite out on his own, throws up an A, tries to land the spray. He's going to hop in the vehicle to move, but this could be the end of him if LG managed to get an angle. Snakers finding the headshot, finds some more. Down goes Infinite. There's Theros, that player over at the bridge they sent down earlier, providing some covering fire, but it's just a little bit too late.
Yeah, LG getting put down by Theros as he pops the tires. That'll demobilize them, making it a bit more difficult for them to rotate into the circle in a little while. Elsewhere, though, Gizera with a huge nade onto PD as we're seeing Furia continue to try to climb the leaderboard. Now, the knock will be flushed on out. Here comes the rest of Furia, though. Breeborn will pre-fire around the corner, but doesn't manage to land any damage just yet. But instead of peeking around the corner, instead of going aggressive, he falls back. The nade is good, but not great. Let's see if the rebuttal is much better as Slabby almost steps back in on top of it. But Furia want revenge. Slabby misses the chance to get Haven at the first time of asking, but Furia fall. Empire capitalize, and maybe they now can push on to PD.
Potentially dangerous Slabby. He's up on this roof, so sure, he's going to be able to get the best angles onto Empire, but he's also the most exposed player. Rock, they're also making a rotate into this position, so Empire have to be careful. They are fully committing onto this one by the looks of things as the nade lands up on the roof. There's no one going to be up there Reborn inside of the compound as BL starts to third party on. Rock trying their best to punish Empire, but Empire with 5-6 kills on the board now are looking really strong. They just need to clean up this fight, otherwise they're going to come to a similar fate that potentially Dangerous might be in.
Yeah, Michael has the nade at the ready, though. They know that Reborn is inside this warehouse, and there are opportunities to throw the nade in. But there you go. Great bait from Michael. He stepped around the corner, and the cover was there from Shinboy. But Mira turned their attention here. Kawazine finds the knock on to Bale, but I feel like it'll be a really difficult flush to get. Is LFP in a glider, by the way? Is that the player that I've seen up? Yeah, he's a UAV. As we get, oh my god, it's a palace circle, and Chunks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams inside of palace. It's almost got as many teams as letters in the name of the spot now, and I think that another team or two might want to join that party as well.
Yeah, I think that if I'm Rock, for instance, now, you maybe try and play that compound just the south of Palace. Granted, it's probably not going to be a late game position, but it's a relatively safe rotate to make as long as you're not getting absolutely lit up by 55 or 4 Adoras. I would say the same play is probably on the cards here for Team Casito, if they can make this cross without being detected when they get up on top of the cliff. Zangarnos, they're looking over towards LG right now as the shots start to rain through. We've still got Toyo rotating from the north. They're still out in the blue zone, so maybe going to cause a bit of a distraction for LG that Zangarnos could try and capitalize on.
Yeah, Zangarnos definitely need to pick up some points now as well, having seen Team KZito, the team who were directly above them in the leaderboard, make big moves. They'll want to follow the trend. Vox spots out the move, doesn't really get a knock onto that push, but Fana's going to get knocked by Benya as the rest of the lobby will cheer. That's a huge knock from Benya onto Fana, and realizing that he's not in the best position to take on the rest of the team fight, he will get out of dodge. Guerrilla warfare from Benya. He'll rotate back, follow Capitan into the circle, but that's a big knock for the rest of the lobby.
LG now going to start making their move. Looks like they're going to head straight into the zone, try and play this hillside, use the high ground to their advantage, but oh no, Toyo. They tried to send it into Palace and Sparkin was waiting for them. Benya actually trades out with the Panzer, but Luke 12 is going to be able to finish off the job alongside Sparkin. 55 Esports not looking to make anything out of this, but I'll tell you what, Alcudzia certainly are. Empire caught out on the rotate. They lose Balefrost and Michael. I believe that only leaves them with Shimboy and Poonage left up, as Shimboy spotted out in the open. Now Rock are going to be focusing him, and Poonage might be able to do something out from the blue zone here.
Yeah, Mira will third party onto this as well, because Mira want to get some knocks. Poonage gets one onto Santa, but the blue zone onto RBN. He will eventually find that knock, but keep an eye behind you. Pushing in from the blue is Poonage, and he will find that knock. More damage now. LFP looking to find it as well as Fexen will get his kill on the board, but Poonage Chunks find another one. It's RBN, the next one to fall on the edge of the circle. Empire do eventually fall under the swords of Rock and LFP and Mira, but do Mira get hyper aggressive? You know that there's only 2 players of Rock up. RBN has been knocked, but Mira, I think with 3 players of their own and having a decent spot in circle, they're not too keen just yet to throw caution to the wind, especially with that shift, and especially Chunks with the fact that they're the team that hold all the cards sitting on top of the leaderboard.
So Mira have a mortar. The question is, how do they use it? Are they going to focus over on towards Rock, or do they try and gatekeep the teams working out of Palace? It looks like they're going to fire them down towards Rock, but not connecting, at least damaging the vehicle, so it will make any rotations a little bit harder for them. Rock are really going to struggle to make it into this one. They should be able to play this hill for the time being, using it for cover from Team Mirror, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be enough to actually get them into zone. They're probably going to have to try and make a push into Palace now to finish off in check and take their position from them.
Yeah, and Jackie team, of course, like, I think they're in that edge of Palace. You'd expect somebody to push that way, but I don't think anybody really is pathing there just yet. Chunks, it looks like 55. They want to close out 4 Adoras. They're moving towards that side that Alcudzia are playing in as things stand, but Mira, they've left LFP keeping an eye on Rock, so I feel sorry for the observer. There is so many spots right now that that they need to watch on, because fights are kicking off left, right, and center. And there's one of them. Sam Crow will get one onto Aliv.
Nice and not. Can he flush it out with the nade? Of course he can. Finishes off the job onto Aliv as Team Casito weakened after a very strong performance in game number 1. They're going to look to try and get some more. It's 4 Adoras that fall out in 10th, but Robert is out on his own, just about avoiding that BZ nade for the time being, but he is starting to chunk some damage. Bran runs out in the open, but somehow manages to survive. Samcro can't finish off the job, but Tony does in the end. Only going to be Robert left up, and Samcro has a good read on where this final player is going to be, as Zangarnos, they're going to start moving into the same spot. LFP falls to Rock over on the northwestern side. It's only going to be Solds left up, so if he can get the flush, it's an extra point on the board for them.
Yeah, Souls pushing up over, but it's Fexin and Kawazine. Snakers is moving this way as well, and I think Kawazine's going to go secure his border to the north, realizing that might be a bit of a problem for them. Now, Snakers will spot Team Mira, but they'll move further north. The Sequencia from Zanganos will find a knock. 3 players up for them, but Snakers, I spoke about it. He manages to strike, and he gets the knock onto Kawazine. Confirms out LFP as well. It's his 6th kill now for LG, and they've just done, they've done Souls a huge favour, Chunks, right now. He's all by himself, but look at Fexin pushing in from the southern side of where Souls is playing.
Now the final player left up for Team Mirror, looking to make something happen as he finds some damage onto Solds. He's going to be out in the blue, getting ready to pop that first aid, maybe hoping that Snakers will finish off the job onto Solds, but it's not to be. Kawazine does get flushed as Zangarnos fall down in 8th position. Solds using the smokes for cover, but from LG's current position, they don't have the best line of sight, especially now that he's dropped prone. By the way, that zone, it's just shifted hard up to the north. Snakers is the only player currently inside the circle, and Gats is the second closest all the way out on the east. Vexin falls to the blue zone, so we're left with only 6 players up. Snakers is committing onto this, though, as a solo. This could be difficult if he goes down. I doubt they'll be able to get the revive.
Chunks has got a level 3 helmet and a level 3 vest, and he knows where Souls is. Like, this is a very good position for him to be in. Vinny, we spoke about Injecka team getting pushed. He's standing his ground against 55 as he wipes out Tony. A good nade thrown by Souls. He'll toss another up. Now, the big thing about nades, they don't damage the helmet or the vest, so it really doesn't do all that much to Snakers. He's going to go for the adrenaline. Back inside of Palace, we'll see Injecka team get wiped out. They could not stand against the 4. There's a spray, there's the shot, but Souls will be taken down by the blue of the zone, not the blue of the luminosity. As Snakers will get another fresh level 3 vest here, Chunks. And LG have the only spot inside the circle. And keep an eye, 55, Liquid, and Al-Qudsiya. The final 3 teams, not called LG, all inside of Palace right now, need to escape the base.
And it's going to be difficult when you lose players like Purdy Curdy. Snakers playing as a solo. He's going to be able to get that crossfire with the rest of his team. LG, I mean, sure, they're confident no one's up here, but I'd be surprised if I were them. Alo accidentally nades himself. Not sure exactly how that happened, but Team Liquid in a lot of trouble given their current position. They got 5 kills on the board, throwing down a smoke for a little bit of an extra safety net, but 55 Esports, they are waiting for Liquid to peak now. Psycho gets caught with a little bit of damage, but it's nowhere near enough to get the knock. Nades are going to land. Is it going to connect? Yes, it will, but again, just not weakening 55 enough to convert anything. They're going to be forced to make a push. They can't head out to the north. They know that LG will cause them problems. They are going to have to push and try and take this position off of 55, but Karax, he's already working up this hillside, trying to get the high ground from the cliffs. As Al-Qudsiya, they send it in from behind. They could be the ones to take down Team Liquid.
Yeah, they need the points. Al-Qudsiya, they want to climb that table. Remember, they were in second going into this one, but Luke 12 will need Roth. They are down to 3 now. Rello, really low HP, but that's a good nade tossed on out. That one will put even more damage onto Roth as Team Liquid are going for their final stand inside the blue. D will look to hold them out, but look at that. Luke 12 will get caught out by Rello. That's another point potentially secured by Al-Qudsiya, and 55 Trying to catch this the other side. Roth will fall. Rello is down now as well. A Sparking's nade will be great, but Rello confirms out that kill, and now it's a 3v3v3. But Alcudia don't get the res on the Rello. Sam Crow caught out by Cowboy. LG they need to push now, Chunks, so they want the points. They have to third party this fight to maximize their maximize the points from this investment, and it's all down to D now for Alcudia.
D, the final player left up. He's got a nade in hand. Almost looked like he knew where Vox was going to be, but he threw it out in the opposite direction instead. Throws himself down a smoke for a little bit of extra safety. As LG, they are starting to swarm. They've only got 3 players left standing, but that should be enough to finish off the job as Vox plays close. Gaps and Snakers just waiting to gatekeep. Karax goes down. It's only going to be D left up, and he's going to start running out into the blue, going to try and deny the points. But Vox, he jumps out just in time before the play zone finishes off the job. LG, 12 kills and a win. That's 22 points from a single game. Really impressive performance from them, and I just love that position that they were able to take up on the north.
A new challenger enters the arena, Chunks. LG giving themselves a shot with just 2 games left to go. It is Rondo and Erangel that will separate all of these teams from being the next Super Cup champion. But with Mira's, I'm going to say it, their early exit by their standards, it opened the door just a crack for some of these other teams to begin closing that gap. And with a second place from Alcudia picking up tons of points with that win from LG, they just start to put up that pressure a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, Chunks, a lot of players revel being in second or third place with 2 maps to go because they find that it unleashes them to go on the hunt. Whereas if you're in top spot with 1 or 2 maps to go, sometimes you can get into your shell and play a little more defensive than you normally would.
Yeah, when you're in those kind of high positions, a lot of the time you start thinking, okay, we've got everything to lose here. We need a really strong performance. Let's play it carefully, be slow with things, and then that allows that second place team to have a huge game, stacking up a load of kills. So it's really going to be interesting to see what the leaderboard looks like after this one, see who is currently on the top of things, because, I mean, it's just tightening up at the top end of things now. Sure, Mirror, they had themselves a good lead. Alcudia making it into second place. That's going to look really good for them. The same for Liquid. They are closing that gap. Sure, Mirror, they still got 7 points on the board, but they are closing in closer and closer each game that goes by. I think we just need to take a look at the overall standings to see how the picture currently looks.
While we wait for that to transition over as well, I'm going to pose the question to the viewers at home. Would you rather be in top spot with a 5 to 10 point cushion with 2 games left? Or would you rather be in second and be unleashed to go on the hunt? And the teams in the hunt, Alcudia and Liquid, are there. Luminosity, I'm not going to rule them out. They're 33 points behind with 2 games left to go. They just got 20 in the last one. So you could say any team down as far as Furia could still win. But if you don't win the next map, and Mira pick up a bunch of points, you can put the crown on their head already. Over on the other side of the leaderboard though, Chunks, do you see any big movers or shakers?
You know what? Things have started to slow down a bit. Obviously, 55, they're close to getting into that cash territory, but they still need a big performance to be able to close it. Empire, they're currently just holding on to things. They, again, need to keep up that consistency. Right now, it's all looking at the top 8. Remember, it's the top 8 teams that take home a share of the cash prize pool, and the further up you get, the better that reward is going to be. So even those teams down in 8th place right now, they still have a lot to play for if they have a couple of good performances.
Yeah, just 2 maps to go for everybody at home. And as I always say, we're going to go to a quick break. That means you've got just about enough time to get yourself hydrated, get the snacks ready, tell everybody about how brilliant this event is to watch, and get them to tune in for the final 2 games. We'll be back in a few minutes.
More steps toward unifying your battlegrounds experience. Destructible terrain on Tago. And a new way to hide your vehicles. All this and more as we dive into the Update 35.2 patch report. First up, we're continuing to work toward unifying your Battlegrounds experience. This update adds vending machines, previously a Miramar exclusive, to Erangel and Tago. You can also keep an eye out for medical vending machines that distribute first aid kits, bandages, and med kits. All these machines still have their chance at a jackpot, so test your luck when you run into one. In addition to this, Erangel is also getting Tago's destructible pots. Breaking these has a chance to give boosts, healing items, throwables, and even secret room keys. So embrace your inner Link and smash away. And speaking of destroying stuff, destructible terrain and the red zone have made their way to Tago. As before, explosives and the Panzerfaust will alter the terrain they hit, adding a bit more realism to that big, cool explosion. We've also added the pickaxe to the map for those who'd rather dig their trench a little more discreetly. For now, destruction on Tago will only affect terrain, so don't worry about the building you're in caving down on top of it. And on the topic of discreetness, you can now find vehicle camo netting on Erangel and Miramar. Deploying the camo netting to your vehicle will help it to blend in with the terrain around it, making it harder for enemies to see while obscuring tire positions. We've also toned down C4 a little by making it a deployable weapon that requires 4 seconds to set. This adds a little more risk to the reward instead of it being used as a nuclear grenade. There's also a new Survivor Pass, enhancements made to the inflatable boat, some improvements to the flare gun's UX, and lots more info about everything else we talked about. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 35.2 is here, so pack your favorite explosives and get ready for a little light terraforming on Tago. Just make sure you hide your getaway vehicle from the other survivors. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Well, it is time to go to Rondo. The second half of the night begins now, and there's just 2 games to go. Chunks, what are we saying this weekend? The average win has been between that 14 to 20 point mark, which means that if you want to get an average victory, there's about 40 points max available for those teams in the chasing pack. The question is, with how Mira's playing, is that enough?
No. Unfortunately, if you're not able to get into that top 4, get a lot of kills go with it, you're not going to be able to gather yourself enough points to close that distance. So it's going to be difficult. Look, there's still plenty of movement that can go on around that middle of the pack, but ultimately, it looks like our top 8 are relatively secure, provided they have mediocre performances going forward. But again, we've seen a team down at the bottom could come up and win a game. Look at Team Casito jumping all the way from 15th to 11th. They're now in the territory where they could get themselves involved in the prize pool. So yeah, it's getting really close, and if a team like bottles one of these games, they're not going to be in good standing going forward.
Chunks, I'm going to interrupt you. It's a double flight path here on Rondo. It's been a while since we've had one of them. And with that being what I love about these double flight paths is sometimes teams will hot drop on the fly because they have seen the position that they've been given on this flight path. They're like, I think that as long as that team's not on this plane, we can get there so much earlier than the other team going. For example, if someone had been dropping in Rinjang, where you see Empire going now from that first flight path, Empire would have beat them there by a long, long ways. But center of the flight paths, the two of them combine right on the tip of test track. Is that a sign of things to come?
I hope it isn't. But saying that, look, we haven't had that many test track circles, and the ones that we have had have been amazing to watch the end game. So we will have to see, but no, we're going to get a really hard north circle, and we've seen a lot of these in the Players Tour so far, and they've typically ended around where Team Casito currently are. So again, that team that needed another big performance to get themselves into placement points are now looking really strong. Team Liquid, though, they're already sending Sparking up to the north. They know it's probably going to go up there, so they want to get a foothold early.
Chunks, you have no idea how excited I am. This is a Ryan circle. We have not had one of these yet on any games that you and I have casted, on any maps that I have casted as a whole. Now, yes, we have had circles finish around here and here. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, timing, as all. I'm always a second slow, but this circle right now, I am all about it, and I want to see how everybody is going to adapt. And speaking of that, it looks like if you've got the map stream open, 55 Esports are already just 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the game about to be back in the sky going towards Riot.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's going to be a difficult rotate for them if they don't make it soon. And we've seen a lot of the time when we get these northern circles here on Rondo, teams want to get into it as early as they can. Because if you leave it too late, the few real power positions are already taken. 55 already on their way. Team Liquid, they've got a foothold. Forever, they're making their way through in check. Zangarnos, Furia, so many teams just going up to that northern side. Because, look, it's interesting area of the zone, but there are so many real open areas that can cause problems for teams. If you haven't got the hard cover, you haven't got the high ground, you're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, the best thing about this north side of the circle is, from a casting standpoint, I've not seen any circles here. I'm not entirely sure where the power positions are going to be. I'm not even sure the players themselves know where the circle is going to go or what the terrain plays like, because for the most part, the only time I'm ever in this section of the map is when I'm driving somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. We have seen some circles up on the very northern side, kind of where Sparking is right now, near that little pond area. We've seen a couple of end games up there, but Sparking, speaking of him, could be in a little bit of trouble, as Forever made a push. Now, don't get me wrong, Sparking is a player that you always bank on to come out clutch in these situations. As Forever now realizing it's going to be looted, they try and make a move, but Slump, he's been caught out from behind. There's only going to be one other Forever player in this compound. It's going to be Kevin, and the rest of Liquid are swarming into support.
Yeah, Sparking's moving Kevin, though, as you can see, he's in a real rough spot now. Cruxy, he's getting his tire shot at by Kerak, but he's not going to land them. And yeah, Kevin, not so much longer going to be in the lobby. He's been dealt with. Kerak tries for a bolty banger, misses one, misses the second, the third time wasn't the charm. But 55 looking to lock down Ryan nice and early, and that move from Team Casito is pushing them directly towards Njeke team as well.
Buddy Curdy in the bus. looks like they don't really want to play the position that they currently have. Maybe looking to try and split off a little bit. Again, it's one of those spots where you can really commit a lot of players onto it and then just get shifted off of. So it looks like they're happy leaving Sparking alone in this compound right now forever. They're going to be under the assumption that the whole of Liquid are in here, as the circle really hard up to the north is going to cause a lot of problems for teams, and Team Casito could have a problem in the form of in check, but they are going to be looking to try and get themselves some early game kills because they really need them to be able to close up to the top 8.
Oh, 100%. And when you look at the top 8 chunks, it's almost the same as trying to catch Mir at the top. The gap is significant, and if you're on the right side of the table, it means that you've found it very difficult all weekend long to get big point tallies, and you're going to wonder what has to change for you to change your fortunes and close that gap into the top 8. And the answer is a circle like this. Something that can really throw the cat amongst the pigeons. And 55 Esports with the center of the zone, chunks, they're one of the teams that could move from the right side to the left, which is, funny enough, the right side of the leaderboard you want to be on. And they've got center zone. Can they make it count?
Can potentially dangerous make this count as they try and land the spray over onto the bus. You can already see Fanner swapping seats, going to try and return some fire. He certainly does, applying pressure onto PD, but more shots still being able to connect, not finishing the job. I think Team Mirror just got out of that EMP zone in time for that vehicle to survive. But look at this, Robert, he's going to be solo in this compound with 55 Esports. Needs to be efficient in confirming that kill if he's able to get the knock. That's exactly what he does. Grabs a lot more ammo because he didn't have any to work with. I'm not sure how he approaches this. You'd imagine he tries to make a move, at least to reposition, maybe to try and get out of dodge.
Do you know how annoyed Kerak is going to be right now as well?
Oh, yeah.
Like Sam Crow will get the trade and get the kill back the other way, but you are going to be... Honestly, you'll be... The word I would use is not a PG free word. It's not a word I can use on the broadcast, but you'd be not in a good way at all if you died to that in a lobby like this. Like, I'd be annoyed if I died to that in a normals game, in a ranked game, but any game with $1,500 up for grabs for the team that wins, you're going to be even more annoyed about it.
Especially if you're a squad like 55 Esports as well, where you've got 51 points, you're currently in 9th place, and you are looking to close a 15-point gap up to 8th. Yeah, you're not going to be happy to lose a player in that position, but it's just the way PUBG goes sometimes. And, you know, credit to Robert for being able to actually salvage a point out of it, as Team Casito, they took a risk on the split, and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah, and it happens, though, right? Like, I think the whole of Team K0 went to Crash 55. I think, if I'm not wrong, Robert was the first player there. He came under heavy fire. The rest of the team left, and Robert was just like, yeah, if I leave, I'm going to die. So I'll just hide and pick up a kill. And can you blame him for hiding, chunks? Like, he got his 1 point for the team, and maybe that might have been best case scenario for him at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he really could have made anything else out of it unless he was to, you know, somehow hold that position, hope that 55 just fed him with one-on-one pushes, which, I mean, a squad like 55, they're not going to do that. They're going to be playing for the trade, so the chance of you being able to take down 2-3 players in a row that are all pushing onto you are very slim. Mirror, they're going to make their moves. They're currently all the way out in the northeast, actually leaving Fanner behind, finally going to be able to get himself a pickup. It looks like they're definitely going to be reliant on a kill-heavy game this match. They're not playing super reserved like we often expect that first place team to do. So they're going to be looking to work in from the edge, try and get themselves plenty of kill points, because it seems with Mirror, the kill points lead them to the top 4, not the other way around as we see with a lot of other squads.
I think they're fantastic at finding blind spots in the circle. Like, they always seem to get into an area of the zone where they're usually the aggressors, where nobody's flanking them, where they know that space is kind of closed into themselves, and it allows them to be really forward-thinking when it comes to the game. And they've just gotten better and better from event to event. Like, this is a team that once, I keep saying it, once Kawazine ages in, I think that they're going to be a menace inside of PAS. Do I think that they're going to qualify for an international at the event at the first time? I'm not sure. It's really tough in the Americas right now. Like, Team Liquid, they want to bounce back. Al-Qudsi want to do the exact same. But if they win this and they keep playing well in the TPP, and like, you can't. The sky's the limit. It really is the limit for them. And let's see if they're able to limit Foradores' opportunity to pick up more points in this game, and that's exactly what they do. Murillo will find his head removed from his shoulders by Kawazine. Man, this guy's he's like a hitman. Like, you give him a target and it's dealt with.
So this circle just got interesting, Gibson. It has shifted all the way over to the west. Now, we have seen endgames over here previously, and this is a very open area to play out of. So if you're a team like Liquid, you've got yourself a compound, you're going to be really happy. But look at that. Everyone is going to be playing for that box that you just drew. In Czech are going to be in a really strong position, looking down at everyone, but they've got a lot of teams to try and navigate down on the east. As Foradora's potentially going to be engaging onto Carito right now. It looks like... yeah, Mirror, they're sending out a scout in the glider, which, I mean, we've seen it used effectively so far.
Yeah, well, Chunks, as I pointed out earlier, that box is a circle that you and I casted a finish on a few weeks back, and I think it was Al-Qudsiya were the team that won whenever that battle happened, and it really is open space. Like, you want to be in one of the very few compounds, like Furia has one of them, and Zeka team has the hill. Everywhere else right now is a bit of a risk, so I think Al-Qudsiya have done a good job of securing a spot. Liquid are not too far off the center as well, and the lake actually provides them a lot of cover, knowing that a team cannot crash from that side without making a lot of noise. And the other side is where we're seeing the solo, where at least one of the duos get pushed, and good shots from Liquid will turn LG on their backs and turn them around.
Let's not rule out a sudden shift here. I know that it's not too likely, but if the Players Tour has taught us anything, it's going to go where no teams are. And currently, there's no teams really down towards Stadium. So it is still a possibility. Team Casito, they've still got a possibility of getting into the prize pool, but they're going to struggle if they can't land a couple more shots on the rotation. Psycho hops in the vehicle. Not sure what he was trying to do, but he certainly tries to get the knock, which he succeeds in before getting traded out by Theros. Infinite now the final player left up here for Foradoras, as he will be finished off. MHP actually stealing out one of those kills before the end of things. 55 Esports, they lost a player early, now losing a second. They're going to try and get themselves the revive, but it's going to be difficult. Body block comes out. That weakens his teammate as Team Mirror. They just completely send it in. The nade is going to land. It seems to be pretty much on point. That should be the end of 55 Esports, and it certainly is. That is unfortunate for them. They are going to need an absolutely insane game to be able to make it into the top 8 if they are able to get a chunk of that prize pool.
And if you are one of the teams in the hunt, every time you see that kill feed light up with a Mira player finding a kill is another dagger. It's death from 1,000 paper cuts from Mira on the rest of the lobby, as the EMP will just begin on the side of the zone. Snakers gets caught out by JMS. Can he get this kill confirmed? Steps out in the open. You gotta be quick, JMS. Very is nowhere near to help out. Very's actually diving into the blue, and before JMS can get it, of course Gats is there. Of course he stops our team at the bottom of the leaderboard from finding one more point to their tally, because of course LG still feel like they can win this event.
Fathom from PD opens up onto Jedshot, but K is there to trade. Potentially dangerous now with only 2 players up and a big hill to climb if they want to be able to return fire over onto Team Carito. The nade will come out, but it's actually Bran who finds the knock. Glock might be able to steal this one away, and he gets the one onto Get a God. Can he find the second? It certainly seems close. Team Carito, they managed to get 1 revive, so at least they've got 2 players standing. But oh no, Luminosity out in the blue, getting caught out by a live. They were fully focused onto Zangarnos. They do manage to take down Sequencia as Bizler tries to get the confirm. He's not quite able to. Absolute mayhem kicking off down at the gas station as Furia and Liquid trading blow for blow. But the nade from Furia is huge as Kraken finishes off the job.
Not a kill to be found for Liquid in that battle, and that means that we can basically say they're out of the hunt of winning the PPT Super Cup. Potentially dangerous will light up the leaderboard as they deal with Carito up on the northeast. Yeah, it's crazy, Chunks. This is rough, and all of a sudden, Empire, who were gambling, have been paid off in spades, and they might even be about to find a kill as well if you've got the map feed open, as we've got to remember Toyo not too far away. But how do you even approach this rotate if you're some of these teams? Like Mira are taking to the sky with an E pickup.
I don't think there is an approach right now. I think it's you just play for those kills. The chances of you being able to make it in as a full squad are so slim. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but yeah, I was shocked when I saw that pulled down to the south. So Rock, Empire, Toyo, all playing for the same rough area down on the southwest now. Make sure you do !map in chat so you're not missing things like that. And look at this from Rock. We have seen this position used in the past to great effect, and that was only as a solo. They've now got a full team up here on the high ground. They could make it to the late game and put in a lot of work right here. This is absolutely huge. Mira, they're using the E pickup, and if I was them, I would be targeting the same position Rock currently have.
I was about to say, I hope they know that Rock are here already, because if you don't, this is going to be devastating. But I think the realistic bet is they're going as far south as they can. They're checking out the road to find a vehicle, because you need one. If you want to win a map in a circle like this, you need to be mobile. And Chunks, I didn't see a spawn inside a stadium that they're able to grab, but at least they'll have hard cover, and maybe somebody will crash their position and deliver them a vehicle if Mira can withstand the push.
In check. Gonna try and find the rotation kill. One more bullet will do the job, but no, Selfish. He's gonna have to hop in his car and start making a move into the play zone. The circle, it shifts hard down to the southwest. Rock are over the moon that they use that E pickup to such effect. Alcudia, they want to try and get across this river down towards Cowboy, but as D goes down, it leaves only 2 players in position. Rello popping a wheelie in his car is not going to get taken out just yet. Not sure exactly what he's going to be able to do as Pandorito preps the flash, throws it over the top. Rello going to be pinned down in this position. He's able to return some fire, takes Pandorito down low. His gun runs out of ammo, clicks away. Rello somehow clutches out of this one, still surviving for Alcudia. The same can't be said for Zanganos as Viri falls the play zone. But look at this, it's Furia. They're the ones now third partying onto this fight.
Yeah, they want to ruin Alcudia's night. Remember, if Alcudia don't get a ton of points here, they are going to be well above 20 points behind, and that is a bit of a gap indeed to close against a team like Mira, who constantly find a way to find kills. Now, Rello and Cowboy will need to work together. If I'm Rello, I'm just getting over the water as quick as possible, regrouping, and then playing for the late game. Placement points and a couple of kills, because the circle once more has shifted towards the southeast. And LG are right below Rock. And you know what, Chunks? This ain't a bad position to be in, because Rock are essentially bodyguards now for LG, as Team KZ were dealt with, and nobody can push LG without Rock being the early alarm symbol for LG.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Rock have a lot of nades, though, it could be useful. I'm not sure whether they'd even last long enough to hit the ground before they explode, but Vinny, he's not going to last very long at all as Slabby hits the knock out of the vehicle, flushes it out as well. In check now on the back foot, going to be forced to take a pretty long-range engagement. It looks like they're going to try and move in to the zone a little bit further, but Empire are going to be in a really strong position if they have the sight lines over towards potentially dangerous and in check to potentially do some damage from behind. Slabby gets up on the rock a little bit too late to find himself the damage to finish off the job, but Rello, he's sending it in a vehicle here. He is not content with Cowboy's position. He wants to try and third party this fight.
Yeah, and he might be able to find a kill, maybe 2 on the PD, but they heard the crash and their eyes are drawn to this position. Really, what he needs is for somebody else to push PD, but it ain't going to happen. Oh my god, Haven almost decapitating RBN. But the one thing I'll say about that is you've essentially ruined the helmet. Now, one positive is you do have some support up there, so if you get knocked, you get flush, but Chunks, crash time!
Panzers in hand from Balefrost, but they're going to crash onto the other side of the compound. In check, Selfish, he has one of his own. That might be what they use to clear out this room before they push in. Relo finds a knock on Slabby on the other side. Thinks that third party's working out. So does the Panzer here for Bale. Is now in check. They've got a second Panzer. They want to try and respond with something, but the nades are coming through. That might be enough to finish off Selfish. It certainly does a lot of damage over onto Andrew as Shimboy connects with the frag, takes him down low. There's only going to be RNZ left up as Andrew gets caught out with the frag. Empire making work of in check right now, defending the compound with ease, down in 9th position, top 8. We are into the placement point, but let's not rule out Mira. They've heard these grenades. They are starting to close in. Fana playing point on this fight as he gets ready to crest over that ridge. Furia need to be careful. I don't think they expect Mira to be over here.
This is not a good spot at all now for Furia. Gizera will fall, but that gives away the information to Kraken. Kraken will rise up and take down Fix and secures the point, helping out the rest of the lobby who want to catch. Smoke grenade down, but from up on high, Rock are putting pressure on. LFP's nade will find only 7 damage, but reveals his position. He throws a good nade onto the spot where LFP was. It forces him out of cover, and Chunks LFP will fall back towards Kawazine. But the pressure from Rock onto the back of Furia is telling, as it leaves it just down to Kraken now.
This is essentially a two-person fight here from Team Mirror. They've got Fana all the way up over in Empire's compound. He really can't get involved in this one. It looks like Mirror, they're going to try and group up and take Empire's compound, but we've seen just how well they're able to defend it. It's a question now of have they even got any util left to work with. Just look over on the minimap at how many teams are currently holding this hillside. We've got Rock, LG, and Toyo on the same cliff. The verticality working out so well for these squads as Kraken going to be able to grab himself a little bit of loot. They are just throwing down cover, and Empire are going to hear this. They need to start focusing on defending this position.
Yeah, Fana with his back to the circle now can focus forward as Rock find another kill from up on high, as LG will also do the exact same thing for Rock. The closer a team gets to Rock, the more pressure LG will be able to put their way. That nade blow, like, you can't even cook that, Chunks. You just gotta let it slide, and if it goes down the hill and finds a knock, you'll be pretty happy off the back of it. But this pillar, the spire, is essentially a signal of safety for these teams who can get right up against the walls. But the question is, at what point do Rock need to descend?
You've got to imagine it's going to be soon. 15 seconds till phase 6 pops. And unless we get a hard northwestern shift, Rock are going to be in a little bit of trouble with a lot of teams now looking in their direction. You can see them picking up the shields, trying to salvage themselves that cover because they know that all things likely they are not going to be able to stay here. But it turns out they can. Southwestern shift. They are still inside of the zone. This is now going to force Empire, Mirror, the remaining player of Furia, the remaining player of Alcudia, and potentially Dangerous all to make a move. Rock could put in some real work from up here, and at the very least, you'd imagine they make it into the top 5 after this phase.
Yeah, I'm looking now as Kraken will step through, and the smoke just about provides them some cover, but as things stand, this mountain is still inside the circle. Are you getting flashbacks at all to the last time you and I casted a circle up here, Chunks? And we were begging him. We were like, don't take the shot. Don't take the shot. For Rock now, it's a case of be careful because all you've got is 60 rounds and you might need them to get down this hill.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big difference, I think I want to say it was Aliv that was up here last time. He was as a solo. Rock are here as a team. If one of them gets knocked, they can get the res in theory. Cowboy, oh my gosh, he could catch potentially Dangerous off guard now. He does exactly that, taking down Glock with the nade, but it's RBN who flushes it out to steal the kill away. Pavam, he pushes in. LG, clean up. Second kill of the game for them. We are into the placement point, but still, Team Mirror finally starting to make their move. They're hopping in the vehicles. There's a decent ridgeline that they could work with if they can get to it. But again, Empire, they're still in this hard cover. They should have a line of sight onto this.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on what Cowboy can do because Mira, with all the basically most of their squad still up, they're in with a chance of getting a ton more points here as well. And they are your lobby leaders. They're making their move. They might just go directly towards Cowboy, but Rock know where he is. And Mira have realized with the topography of the map that if you play the edge of this ridgeline, Rock cannot assault you. In the words of Matt, they cannot harass you from up on high. So all you got to do is play close and hold off the Empire members, and Empire finding out that problem that we've seen time and time again. You just cannot step out from the position into the open when Rock have those lines of sight.
RBN looking to try and find Cowboy, but he is focusing on Michael right now. They know that they've got the knock, and this could be really helpful for Team Mirror right now. They've got themselves a nice ridge, which will defend them from Rock, but they are still wide open from behind. Sure, they've thrown down a shield. They've got a vehicle there for a bit of extra safety, but Empire are the current threat. They're not going to be able to get the revive, and Rock, they spotted out Cowboy earlier, so they are going to be looking down in this direction. 8 kills on the board for Rock. This is absolutely insane for them. Really strong performance, and we'll see where this next phase shifts. Surely they've got to move, but no, they don't. The circle shifts towards them again. They are laughing given their current position.
Wow. Wow, what a spot they have for themselves. They have guaranteed themselves, at the very worst, a top 3 finish, in my opinion. Toyo, they're going to hold the north side of the circle. Now, if you're Rock, the likelihood is that might be the way you might descend, because you want to go for the path of least resistance when you eventually need to descend from the top of the mountain. But Cowboy, probably done and dusted, right? The blue zone's going to go in, he'll fall. Mira need to move a lot closer to the ridgeline, which will open up the lines of sight of Rock once more to them. You've got the possibility of Empire pushing there, but Empire are going to go grab themselves some loot at the edge of the circle, and then they're going to move up on top of Kraken.
This could be huge.
Desperately, he's not got the arm.
Are you sure about that?
He does.
Are
Kraken.
you sure?
Never, ever, ever will I doubt Kraken again.
Beautifully done, but it's Santastico who cleans up both of those kills and takes Rock to 10 overall. Just look how dire that ammo situation is starting to become for them. As Kraken, the final player left up here for Furia, just gets absolutely ran over by Team Mirror. They're going to try and play this hillside, still again exposing themselves to Rock, who now are extremely limited in terms of ammo. We are into the top 4 as our courtesy of Cowboy. He falls. Vox going to go for a reposition. He is aware that this player has been eliminated. 3 kills on the board for Mirror, which granted by their standards is quite low, but they made it into the top 4, and at the moment it's all about getting those consistent points, which is something they are certainly going to be able to do. The opposite being said for Rock, they need a strong performance, and they're certainly on track to have one, provided they can rotate off this position when the time comes.
11 kills on the board already, and ammo looking not very good at all. However, did you see the utility? They have got smokes, nades, and mollies for days, and they might just use that utility a little bit later on to just brute force open a path into the zone. Now, Mira have essentially found the only spot inside the circle, other than where Toyo and LG are playing, which is right against the ridgeline, that you cannot be seen, right? You look at that map, that little fin that Mira on,
wow,
which has now been removed, was the only spot you could play. I'm going to say it. Their option, the only option they have, the nuclear option, is to crash the mountain, to full send it in on top. But I've been wrong before, and I might be wrong again. But Rock can still play. Like, it's crazy.
I think they can just about stick on that ridge down to their east. I think. I'm really not sure, though. It's certainly tight. They're going to try and loot up, get themselves as much util, med, smokes, everything that they can, because they've only got one vehicle to work out of here. And again, if they play that ridge over to the east, I think that opens them up to Rock as well, who, again, they're such low utility, such low ammo right now. Sorry, I shouldn't say utility, because look at the sheer number of nades that they've got. It's thrown out towards Vox. That should be enough to finish the job if it connects, but it bounces just a little bit too far. As Team Mirror, they send Kawazine into the vehicle. He's caught out by Santastico. Sorry, by BL, as Santastico takes down Vox. They're on 13 kills right now. This is absolutely insane. They are making this zone count for everything, and they might just be able to make that drop sooner rather than later if they can weaken down one more of those LG players, maybe even use those nades.
He's 2 bullets left for Santastico at this point. Like, it is just a onslaught of ammo they've sent to everybody in the lobby. You've got to make every shot count, and RBN did just that. Hits another few shots on the Faravero, but the smoke will bloom just enough. Now, how far does this bounce? Keep an eye on the bounce. It hit the tree. It was almost perfect. It was almost perfect, Chunks, from that position. Maybe Souls will be a little bit better as he tosses it towards Faravero. But here come Mira. They're extending up now as well. But what a finish. A 4v3 v3v2.
Fana tries to throw an aid over to Capitan's position. That seems to be on the money, but it doesn't quite land. As Capitan now going to continue putting that pressure onto Team Mirror. We are in the final phase, Gibson. Rock have to make a move now. They're not getting any more shifts this way. And look at that Molotov. That is perfect onto Faravero. He should be able to pop the heal in time, but 1 or 2 bullets, if that smoke dissipates, would mean the end for him. RBN, he lands the headshot. This is Rock's opportunity to move. There's smokes. They're going to try and parachute directly into them. But Capitan, he's already getting proactive here for Toyo Esports, using that smoke for cover. Rock, they are dropping down. They are limited on ammo. They have to make this count. Can RBN even land that safely? Just about. We'll be able to pop the first aid kit, but it's Benya who finally opens things up. Souls will fall. Rock Esports just getting absolutely lit up as they drop down, but somehow they've only dropped 1 player so far. RBN caught with the headshot. Huge shots coming out here from Fana. That leaves Rock significantly weakened. If I'm in their position, you drop all the meds, you drop all the util that you've currently got, you give it over to your teammates, because look how limited ammo currently is. Santastico throws down the Molotov, trying his best to force Fana off of the tree, but it's just a little bit too far, and Fana is waiting for him to expose himself. Catches a couple of bullets, but it's not enough to get the confirm. As Rock, they went from such a power position to now struggling to survive. BL falls. 1 more bullet on Santastico will mean the end of things. That's Rock down in 4th. We have 3 teams left as Mirror making it count at the end game.
Yeah, but Toyo down to 2 now. LG with still 3 players up. They want to go back to back with the wins, and they desperately need this to close that gap onto Mira at the top. But we've got a little bit of quiet, but it ends pretty quickly. Capitan with a big nade will drop it on Fana. LG have been biding their time. They've been waiting. They've been saving their ammo for a moment like this. He sprays through. Capitan will take a little bit of damage, but Faravero will finally fall. Still a 3v2v2. Looks like over on the other side, Fana crawls in to get the information, feeding it to LFP, whose smoke is dissipating in a moment's time. It's another kill for Bizzler, and LG take the chicken dinner back to back. 18 more points to go with the points they got earlier, and all of a sudden, they are the team that are leading the charge to catch the Mira at the top at the very end. But the big question is, can they do it? They will need the triple if they really want to get this done.
That is absolutely huge for LG. They have put themselves up significantly. I can't wait to see how those leaderboards stack up once things have updated. But LG, with just an insane performance, the second one of the evening, really coming out strong on the Sunday, the final day. And now with only 1 game left, are they going to be able to repeat it again? Surely it's the only chance that they have to be able to take that lead off of Mirror. But again, Rock, they put up an absolutely huge performance. Granted, they could not get off that hillside in the end, but they got themselves a lot of kill points to go with it. Wow, things are really heating up towards the end of things, but you've got to think Mirror still have themselves a decent lead after making it into the top 3 with a decent number of kills.
You know, I think Rock still got 16 or 17 points in that game, so they're not in a bad position whatsoever. That nade from Cowboy was a highlight for me as well, as we keep an eye now on just the Rock show as they were up on top of the ridgeline, just delivering bullets to all of their fans in the crowd, and eventually the bullets started to run dry. The set was almost finished as the end of the show became the wrap up, and much like a lot of old rock bands, Chunks, just the end, it was not pretty for them, and it was all done and dusted, and LG took the big win.
That was rough at the end for Rock, but still able to get 17 points on the board. Bearing in mind that that's only 1 less point than our winning team. Absolutely insane performance all around. We need to take a look at the overall standings to figure out how things are going to be stacking up. But look, Mirror, they are consistently performing well, and yet they're still holding on to first with a decent lead. Now, if you're a team like Rock, like LG, like Alcudia, if you see Mirror in that kill feed in the early game, you better go and capitalize, because that's the only real chance that you have of being able to close the distance.
Yeah, you look at that, 19, 21, and 23 points behind our second, third, and fourth. That is a big gap to close. That is, you know, for Alcudia to win this, they need a 24-point game. And
it's doable.
Mira need to get a donut. For that to happen, that means Mira cannot get a single point. So that's not going to happen. So realistically, I'm going to say Rock are the only team that can catch them. LG, in that same scenario, need a monstrous performance with Team Mira dropping a donut. So I think they've all but secured it. But this is PUBG, and Erangel ain't just the plain old dish that it used to be. A lot of teams have come undone on Erangel in the past.
Never say never is the key thing. You know, never say never, because as soon as you say Mirror, they should win it, they're going to bottle it. So I don't want to say that it's going to happen just yet. Sure, things are looking really good for them, but look at last Super Cup. We had Team Liquid in the running to be one of those top teams that could have taken first. They ended up getting hot dropped on Erangel. Could we see the same thing happen with Mirror? Only time will tell in our final game of our second Super Cup. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes to wrap things up.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Into the final game of the night, and if I look a little bit red, folks at home, it is because Chunks has just been sending me compliments. He's made me blush during the break by telling me just, you know, he's like, oh, your hairline is fantastic. It's definitely not receding at all. The camera angle does you a ton of good. But Chunks, it's time to stop talking about me. It's time to talk about the final game of the night. What are the stakes? $1,500 up for grabs for the team in top spot. I've said before the break, I think Mira deserve it based on their play all the way through the PUBG Player Tour. But you being an agent of chaos have taken on, I think your exact words were, you hope they go out early so that the other teams can really give it a shot.
Yeah, I want it purely for the hype of things. Like, look, Mira deserve it. I think everyone is in agreement. Anyone who has watched the tour so far agrees Mira deserve to win this. Everyone also agrees they're the most likely to win this. But if they get hot dropped, if they go out in 16th, if they get no points, can you imagine what the top 4 teams are going to be thinking? All the pressure will be on. They will be playing for every kill that they're able to get. And for a second, I thought Foradoras were hot dropping Mira. For a second, I thought it was going to happen. Look, I want Mira to win this. I think everyone is in agreement that they deserve to win this, regardless of who you're supporting. They are a team that have been so consistent that look back to them in the first weekend of the Players Cups. They weren't the best. They weren't anything near where they are now. They are a team that I would say has improved the most throughout the tour so far. They are the team that everyone's eyes are going to be on. But my eyes again are on this 55 Esports, potentially dangerous hot drop. And this one, this could cause problems for 55. They are currently in touching distance of being able to get into the prize pool. But PD, they are proving that, look, you've hot dropped us enough. Now we're going to cause you a real problem. And if we weaken 2 of your players, good luck getting any cash.
Pros for 55. You win. Oh my god, Alo's just punched out Kraken as well. But pros for 55, you win this fight, you get 4 points, and you can really hunt down the top 8. Another pro is, I guess, if you lose the fight, you know you're not getting top 8, and you can enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Either way, they've got something to show. They won this battle yesterday. They're going to hope to double down here on Ferry Pier. And if I'm not wrong, it was Tony with a micro Uzi yesterday as well that had a big say in the game as we get our first shift of the night.
Circle, pretty standard. It's going to look good for Furia. Granted, they did get a player punched out early. As now, all eyes are going to be on Team Mirror. They're going to have to make their rotation in. But they've still got a couple of strong teams to work through. We've seen them scrap up against Team Liquid on these rotations. Toyo, also not a team to be underestimated, as 55 Esports finally opening up over towards potentially dangerous. They find damage, can't convert it to an knock. Samcro caught out in the open as Slabby catches a little bit of fire. Can't finish off the job, but that Panzer, it certainly might do when combined with the nades.
The Panzer Faust, the tank fist, if you want to use its name in English, is hunting down Sam Crow. He's half HP. Boom! Lands right on top of him, and Slabby will ruin Sam Crow's final game of the night. 3 players up now for 55. Glock is down as well for PD, so both of these teams trading damage with each other as things stand. However, 55 are regrouping. Psycho's getting his health back up, and I don't think Breeborn can get to Glock safely, so he's playing. Chunks, he's using the MK as a shotgun. He's using it at close range. He's probably going to hip fire, and he is going to tap that thing as quick as he can if they come around that corner.
If he can find the headshots with that thing, it is going to be over very quickly. But 55, they are grouping up. You can see just how limited they are right now. Some players missing vests, some players missing helmets. And that is not the scenario you want to be in when you're coming up against a shotgun. As Reborn takes down Psycho, flushes him out. Of course, he's going to try and pick up that shotgun as well. Sorry, grab some of that util as well if he has any. But look at this, LG, they're taking the fight over towards Furia. Guzera tries to land the spray, does a lot of damage over to Snakers, can't finish off the job as LG, they have completely committed to this one. They're going to try and pull away. Haven might be able to find something on the exit, but Vox, he has the DMR, he has the covering fire and could cause problems.
Yeah, Karak wiped out Breborn as well, but just as that happens, on the other side of the fight, another trade occurs. So Tony, the last 55-member standing. He's all by himself now. We spoke about how good he is with that micro Uzi. Well, he is going to have to be very good indeed if he wants anything off this. A team in the hunting pack, Cowboy, will pick up a point for Al-Qudsiya as they chase down Zanganos. Remember, they were, 23 points off the lead as things stand, maybe a little bit more. Actually, I've got the leaderboard open on my second screen here, Chunks. They were 23 points off the lead. So they really need to get as many points as they possibly can. And if I'm not wrong, 17 kill chicken dinner is the most we've seen on the PUBG Players Tour so far.
Yeah, let's see if they're able to put it up, because it's going to be a difficult one. Every point that Mirror can gain out of this makes it so much harder for those second, third, fourth place teams, which, I mean, there's only, 4 points between second and third right now, second and fourth right now. Yeah, it's going to put the pressure on. And right now, even if you see Mirror popping off in the kill feed and you see them stacking up points, never mind, let's leave that, because Pandorito, he's seen Slabby and he gets taken down by Nubsky. I didn't realize that Forever had moved in onto this fight. Nubsky getting the flush, going to get themselves a point on the board, and things are looking a little bit better for 55 Esports if they can get out of here, because now not only do they have to deal with that final solo from Potentially Dangerous, they've also got Nubsky and the rest of Forever starting to close in.
Yeah, Forever promised me a good game. This map coming up, I believe Bad Kevin said there was going to be fireworks, and Nubsky said they were going to turn it up as well going into the last map, and they're looking to live up to their perfect little saying. They get the couple of kills. Pavam finds one, and that means that there's one potentially dangerous player left on his feet. But let's see if Forever can find a couple. Look, it's Nubsky and Bad Kevin, the two guys who spoke to us, who got those 2 kills as well. Let's see if they can add a couple more.
Certainly going to try to. Pandorito just scouting out. Needs to be cautious. Not sure whether he knows about this PD player laying prone nearby. I mean, if you're that final player from PD, you're certainly going to try and get yourself that kill point on the board before making a dip, because the rest of Forever are pretty far away, but it looks like they're going to make their retreat, continue looting, and start making their rotation into the zone. Speaking of zone, Liquid currently dead center. Make sure you do !map in chat. And while we got a bit of downtime, get yourself signed up for the next players scrims using !register.
Well, if I was to do that, Chunks, how much money could I potentially win? Because we know that money is a great motivator.
Well, if we're just talking about the Masters, then we're talking about $20,000. But don't forget that you can earn cash from taking part in the Players Cups as well. And all you need to do to get into them is register for the scrims and qualify.
Well, then why the hell not? Get on and get yourself registered and see if you can win a share of that $20,000 prize pool. And you get a chance to play against some of the best teams in the Americas. And if you are watching this broadcast and you're not from the Americas and you're like, hey, that's not fair. How come the Americas get the big prize pool? Well, if you're an EMEA as well, they've also got their own sign-ups for there. You need to go to the PUBG Esports website to get the sign-up for the EMEA event, but they've also got $20,000 up for grabs there too. And that is the end of our paid spot. We've been rewarded quite well for that one. And Rock have been rewarded pretty well for Ruben sneaking up onto Team KZito as well.
Nicely done from him to sneak up. BL is there to flush out the kill, which RBN was able to get. Alo looking to put RBN under a little bit of pressure. He's only able to land one shot so far as the smoke lands. RBN looking like he wants to try and loot for it. As Phase 1 continues to close in, most teams looking pretty good in their current position. But we know by now, don't we, that Phase 2 shift, it always causes headaches. I'm seeing that river that goes all the way from Yaz over to the western side, and I'm thinking, who is going to be brave enough to commit to that northern side and just wait for the hard shift?
You mean Snake Lake?
Yep,
that's
I
always
the
like to call it. There's another name for it, but again, can't really say it on a broadcast, as Relo has got himself a spot by new compound. Yes, I know, everybody, it's not new, it's been there for a long time, but we don't like change in the PUBG community. It's called new compound because it was new 5 years ago. This is also a yellow building that looks on. Yes, it looks blue on your screen, but I can assure you it's yellow, as Kurt will park himself up inside of Alamo.
You're just dropping all the old names now. I feel sorry for any of the new players that are watching that haven't been around the block long enough, maybe don't realise all the call-outs. But yeah, this game, it's been around for a while now, and I am so happy that we are still thriving and seeing people just progress and improve constantly. We harped on a lot about the anniversary up at the beginning of the tour, and really, the level of play that we're seeing now is absolutely mind-blowing. And one of those players that has been around for a while is going to be Michael as he tries to find a couple of shots. It looks like Empire potentially going to be stuck playing as a three-man.
Michael, of course, he'll be looking to represent Team UK, hopefully, at the end of next month over in Korea for PNC. I think the dates are still to be announced on that one, so keep an eye on the Esports Twitter, and that'll let you know when that event is. It'll also let you know when the rosters have been finalised. But circle shift Chunks, and it looks like it's going to be a school apps finish to close things out, or at least not too far away from that spot of the map. And what I love about this section of the map is usually when you get to those final circles, if they're hanging on, you could have 6-7 teams alive in Phase 7, Phase 8, and everybody could only have 1 or 2 players up.
Now you say it's a school apps finish. Ooh, Team Liquid, they're looking to try and finish off Souls right now. Nicely done from Alo to get himself the knock. It looks like Rock, they're not going to attempt to get the revive here. They know it's one of those high-risk plays. I don't think they're willing to make it right now. Now, you say it's a school apps finish, but look at the position that Toyo currently have over on your map feed. We've seen a lot of end games around this area, so we could potentially see another one on the way. As Team Casito, I'm not sure whether they didn't hear the shots from Liquid or whether they thought that they'd be able to take this fight efficiently, but Aliv getting absolutely lit up on the rotate. The same being said for Cruxy. As Team Casito, they're going to be scrambling now. A couple more bullets could mean the end of them.
Yeah, Toyo though, like Boatyard, there's a 2-2 split from Mira. 2 players are in Boatyard, 2 are on the compound just by that Liver Island bridge. So as it stands, if Toyo get the better of Boatyard, considering they're also playing a 2-2 split, that could really ring the dinner bell for the teams in the chasing pack. Rock Esports in second place, 1 kill on the board, crashing into Apps here too, right next door to Al Qudsiya, who currently sit in 4th place. As all of these teams look to secure center circle and hoping by doing so that you will see points delivered to them, because points, of course, win prizes, Chunks. But as we get a little bit closer to the next circle shift in about a minute and a half time, every team, I believe, apart from Carito and Forever, have made their way into the circle.
There is one team that, again, is drawing my attention, though, over on that map feed. It's Team Mirror. They've got Fanna in Boatyard with Toyo in a 2-2 split nearby. That could be huge, or it could be detrimental to them right now if Toyo are either able to get knocked or get knocks onto that solo Mirror player. Is in check. They look to find some knocks onto LG. They're not quite able to find those players out of the vehicle. The Snakers looked like he was having a bit of trouble right there. Gets stuck for a second, but will be able to get away unscathed. LG, it's an interesting rotate to head all the way over to the east now. I'm not sure what the strategy is, whether they want to wrap around Yaz and work him from the north, but they are just heading straight towards the blue zone.
Yeah, this is the fight, though. that's got all of my attention. It's not a fight just yet, but there's the potential of it. Inside the cafe, you've got Emmy, who's peering through the door, using his mind to look around the side of that hard object to work out where exactly these two Mira players are playing. LG, back-to-back chicken dinners for them, hunting down what would be a surprising win considering where they were at the start of the day, moving into the circle as well, but they have a long ways to go as they go through the blue. All of the teams in the hunt are still alive as we approach the 15-minute mark of this game. However, some of them have taken wounds, and Chunks, the big one for me is Mira are no longer in the circle.
They've got a nice hill up at Rozok that they could try and take, but right now it's Furia that are trying to take control of a building. We have 3 squads over in these apartments right now, and Empire raining down fire from school, popping those vehicles, realizing if these teams have to move, they are going to be wide open to us. So let's make sure that they can't use the vehicles to get out across that field. Furia, they're settled up right now. They're going to try and take some returning fire, but honestly, it's high risk. If they get a player knocked, it's actually Shimboy that gets knocked here for Empire. I'm not sure exactly where he was. Yeah, he is going to be in school with them, so he should be revived. It looks like Empire did manage to get him back into the game.
Yeah, Emmy's going to sneak up here as well onto where Mira have just left this position. So Mira have a 2-2 split. 2 players are separated from the other 2 by 2 members of Toyo. So really you've got this, team situation going on where they're all stacked up in 2s over on that side, and that could be genius, that could be terrible, depending on what way it goes. And this is not what Mira need. That'll be LFP knocked, and Faravero will secure the knock, hoping that his teammate will get one on to Fana, who pushes up onto the ridgeline. Fana takes a ton of damage, but look at that kid. Turn on him, Emmy will fall, and now it's a 1 versus 1 at this spot, and Faravero's got no chance against a player of this caliber. Fana will get a second knock, and Mira have pulled off a heist potentially. You've lost 1, you've gotten 2 more points, and that's 2 points further clear of the chasing pack.
This is absolutely huge for Team Mirror. I'm sure they're going to be able to get this second flush as the rest of them now start to group up, realizing that Toyo did have the jump on them, but they've been able to salvage this one really well. Team Casito, they're far down to the south. I don't think they're going to have a great angle onto this, but they do have a solo player lurking about that could potentially cause some problems from this ridgeline. He spots out Fana. Can he land the shot? Seemingly not. Decides to hop in the vehicle. He's going to group up with the rest of the team. Potentially dangerous, by the way. They've still got Pavam alive. He was all the way down in Ferry Pier. He's currently getting an E-pick up from Pachinki.
Also, Mira were denied that point. One of those were stealing away by potentially dangerous, and with that, or I think it was somebody else stole that kill away, and that will not give them what they would have wanted. They would have wanted to extend that gap a little bit more. However, we'll see what they can do from here. Circle is about to shift once more, and it goes to school, Chunks. And Empire are currently giving a lecture from inside that position. They're going for the res, but where does Pavam go? Does he full send up onto the roof? Nope. Luke will get the kill before he can even get there. Yeah, you're
that's
right.
rough for him. Dropping down out in the open, I mean, it's such a tricky position to try and drop in when you have so many teams around you. But Empire, they are going to be really happy with this one. Look, they're currently on the cusp. They are in 8th place, which is the bottom of the prize pool. If they're able to get themselves a decent match out of this one, when you take into account the fact that Toyo are now down only to 2 players, they could make themselves a really big jump and start stacking up some serious cash. As we look at the replay, beautifully done from BL.
I like it. I love it. And now we get another one. BL will double down. This time getting the kill confirmed. Sparking the target. Sparking will jiggle peek, but BL's bullet will miss it the first time of asking. Gets himself back up on the banisters, and he's looking to see if Sparking will dare peek once more. But you and I both know that it isn't going to happen just yet. Sparking is not the type of player who takes any risks without knowing he at least has a chance of getting a big chunk of reward off the back of it. But, Chunks, one thing we didn't speak about, the circle has again kicked Mira out of it and forced them to hunt a bit more.
So this Rozok Hill, it could be really powerful, but to be able to use it, you have to deal with 4 Adoras who are clustered up inside of the hard cover for the time being. Now, what we haven't talked about is LG, who are down on the south. They're now putting pressure onto Team Liquid. So if Liquid have to engage this one, they're going to have to move up this hillside and potentially expose themselves to Rock, who again are currently trying to chase that first place. They've got a long way to go, so it's all reliant on Mirror right now. It is everything to lose, nothing to gain for Mirror.
We will see what they can do. Remember, just getting in the placement points could be enough. Like, that is all they could realistically do. It's a 20+ point gap going into this second game, this final game of the night. And that's a tough ask for those teams to hunt down. But we know that this is something that these teams are capable of. LG have shown already they can get double-digit point wins. And you've also had the likes of Al-Qudsi in the past show that they're capable. But the problem they're having, Chunks, time is running out. And players are getting points on the players that, you know, other teams are falling, which reduces the amount of points you can potentially get. So the clock really is ticking.
Forever, they said they were going to have a big performance. And they're certainly going out with a bang if Capitan is able to clutch this one up. Benya, he's just got knocked as Capitan flashbangs, BZ nades, everything that he has in his back pocket is being thrown down to give him time to get that heal to prevent the push. But Forever, they are just committing onto this. It's not inside of the zone, remember, so they need to clean this up one quickly. Slump is still not, so they're going to try and focus the res. It looked for a second like Kevin, he was going to try and make that push solo. Again, just trying to grab some util off of the bodies, hoping he can get a frag or something to find an opening. But right now, he's just holding that staircase, letting Pandariso get the revive. And they're going to need to be careful, just as Empire. They need to be careful because LG, they're making a crash. The nade is going to land close. It could be absolutely huge, but it's just a little bit overcooked. Poonage lands the spray, takes down Poonage. Snake has tried his best to return the fire, but he is just not able to. And Liquid, they're looking to move to a similar position now.
This is LG's push to try to win the game. The barrage of bombing will blow up the cars, and that'll get the knock on to Gats and Bizzler as Poonage pushes. But Poonage now is being held by Luke 12, and that will prevent him from getting a knock or a flush. That means there's a chance for the res to come off for LG. The friend of, or the enemy of the enemy is my friend, as Zanganos will fall at the hands of Al-Qudsi. Capitan will get Bad Kev, as Bad Kev will try to get flushed, but the smoke and the body prevents the rest of the team from pushing up the stairs. This is a tough one here for Forever to try to deal with Capitan. He'll pop a first aid, but there's a big chance as we go picture in picture. Foradora is battling on the other side of the circle. Capitan gets another, but there you go. Forever will wipe them out. They'll move on. They will lose one, but now we jump back to Mira, Chunks. This is the team on top. Kawazine drops down. Team Mira eliminated. Wheels are off. Training wheels. The rest of the lobby now can hunt them down, and it is game on.
It's going to be difficult, though, as Robert, he's going to find it difficult to get to safety. He gets taken down by the play zone. Still going to be 2 players left up here for Team Casito as the flashbang lands over towards Cruxy. He's able to peek, but he gets taken out. MHP lands the knock, immediately goes for the flush as well. That leaves only Aliv down at the vehicle, but he is spotted out. MHP putting in work with the MK12 as he now is getting pressured by the blue zone vehicle tires, getting popped. So's his head, but the point is denied. The zone gets the kill. The ultimate victor in PUBG as Foradoras get themselves 6 points on the board. They're now switching their attention over towards another team, but it's Di who pushes into RBN. Santastico trades it, but Rock, our current 2nd place team, getting weakened by our current 4th place team.
Yeah, and Al-Qudsi can still win this, but they need a big game. They need a bunch more kills to have a chance. 1 kill each for everybody, but they need to up those numbers. They need double digits. They need at least 15 plus kills. They want to get this win, and that zone shift has gone against them. LG, another team in the hunt, have got the perfect circle for them if they want to secure victory. Now, they would love to be where Foradores is. That's where you'd like to be. Up on high, shooting down to the rest of the lobby, but for now, they will deal with what they have and try to get the points where they're rewarded. Liquid will fall. Another team that were never really in the hunt going into this map, but a fan favorite nonetheless, will go down in 10th place as we begin to get closer and closer to those all-important placement points, Chunks. But we have 3 teams in school, and that circle shift has now forced Al-Qudsiya, Furia, and Rock to all now make their way in towards school for what could be a huge crash.
All eyes have to be looking at LG as our current favourites in terms of who is still in the running. But we can't rule out Rock or Al-Qudsiya. A little bit of extra cover being called in, but this is a brutal rotation to try and make out of these apartments when you've got in check Empire, LG all holding onto school. Al-Qudsiya, they're a little bit more consolidated. Rock with only 2 players left up. They're prepping the smokes. They're going to have to make a run of their own soon. Foradoras using that high ground. They spot out Gidagod from Corito as they're now going to be forced in using the smokes for cover. Rock, they've actually got vehicles. I'm surprised that Liquid weren't able to get an angle onto them as Michael, he tries to defend. It's Balefrost who gets the opening knock on Santastico. BL falls as well. That's 1st and 2nd place, both out of the lobby. 4th place just lost a player. It's Cowboy who gets knocked as D's able to trade one out onto Furia, and Foradora's going furious as they take down Corito out in 8th. Only 2 players left standing from Furia. The same being said for Al-Qudsiya, and the smokes are the only little bit of hope that they have of making it in. And Balefrost, he is just trying to crush those dreams.
Yeah, Al-Qudsiya now, things are looking even tougher for them. They forced their way into the circle. They can deal with Furia, but the blue zone is the enemy. They need a monumental performance from Rello and D. They want to get this done. A good nade from Rello will find Posa. And now the fleeing Gizera will step into the corner, but Al-Qudsiya eliminated. Haven will do it for them. And that means there's only one team left that can catch the very top. And oh, there we go. The 2 bodies of Al-Qudsiya. They will not be back-to-back champions. We will see a new champion crown now. It is confirmed. But can LG find enough, Chunks? Because they've not gotten a lot of kills already. They need a bunch more. And they've only got a few more left they can get because there's 16 players left alive.
And they haven't got much to work with right here. Sure, they're center circle. They've got themselves a wall, but there's so many teams that are about to make a push from school, and even Foradoras could cause them problems using this high ground now that they've got the circle go their way. 10 kills already on the board here for Foradoras. This is an absolutely huge performance from them as Empire. They've had Shinboy knocked. I don't think they're going to be too likely to get this revive, but Foradoras just pressuring every team that peeks out of school. They've got plenty of util to work with. They just cleaned up Team Corito. Nobody is really in a position to try and challenge them right now.
Yeah, and remember that the gap was 21 points between LG and Team Mira at the top. Mira got themselves a couple of kills, but LG have still got a chance of getting this win. Michael will peek through the window. He sees Vinny from Njeke team. But the question is, oh no, this could be dangerous. Foradoras, Chunks, they can see exactly where LG are. Yes, they've got a bunch of shields, but MHP gets one, Vinny gets another. LG could be about to flushed out. We might just see a new champion of the PUBG Super Cup. LG backs to the wall, another player falls, and it is all down to the Bizzler. But business ain't booming right now. He steps into the smoke, but Foradoras, if Theros gets close enough, Chunks, if this nade is good enough, it could be bing, bang, boom, bust. But no, Bizzler's alive, but this one surely Chunks does it.
Theros prepping another frag. It doesn't land close enough. Bizzler trying to stick the res onto Gats as Vox. He's going to be bleeding out. That smoke is dissipated. He is open to Foradoras. That's going to be the end of him. At best, LG stay up as a 2-man, but it is not looking too likely right now as they are just getting ripped apart. If that second UAS goes, you've got to think so to LG's hopes of winning. Only 13 players remaining. That means 11 potential kills odds that they're going to be able to pick up if they were to wipe the entire lobby. But Vizsla, he gets re-knocked. Michael's the one to find it before being caught out by Infinite with the MK. Murillo knows that in check are on this wall. They're using the smokes, but the zone is going to force them in. They've got themselves a little bit of deployable cover, but that circle, it's going to shift, and it is not looking good if you're in check right now.
Yeah, Gats will spray. Gats will get one, but they don't have enough kills, Chunks. There's 13. There's 11 players left alive. They do not have enough players, enough firepower, and enough players just to kill to win. So Team Mira are now essentially confirmed your champions, and Zeke team will look to finish things off with a bang, but Empire, they can still jump up the money spots. They can certainly improve their pockets with a few more kills on the board. 3 players up. Circle still working a little bit against them, but for Adora's Chunks, 13 kills for them as they have been exploring every inch of this map and finding just positive vibes everywhere they've gone.
Look at this, though, Gats. He's got no helmet. He's got no ammo in reserve. He's going to have to make an insane play to eliminate some of these Empire players, really relying on 4 Adoras to put in the work. They're playing 2-2 split. They've got 2 committed over onto LG's position, but it's actually going to be Theros trying to connect onto Shimboy. He does that, and by proxy, saves LG's lives. Gats gets the flush. That's an extra point on the board. Flashbang thrown over as Selfish, the final player for in check, is going to potentially put Empire in checkmate, but no, it's Murillo who saves the day again. There's 4 Adoras. They now send it in. They eliminate LG down in 3rd place. There's only going to be 2 players left up from Empire, but you never rule them out because Balefrost, he's just found an opening knock over onto Infinite, follows it with one onto Murillo. Molotov lands down close. It catches Theros in the end.
No way!
Empire
No way!
come out with all the odds stacked against them. They win the final game with 7 kills. That is going to move them up the leaderboard for sure. It's just a question of how far.
How did Empire win that? They had 4 players to deal with. He mollied himself trying to push the wall, and that is how you lose. That could have been 18 kills and a 28-point win, but they threw so hard. You can't lose that to Empire, but massive congrats to Empire. They got another win to finish off the night, same as I think they got last night, and with that, they will move up a couple spots as well. LG should be in 2nd spot overall after that performance, but massive congratulations, Chunks, because Team Mira deserved that win. They were phenomenal all week. They were phenomenal in the cups. They've been phenomenal all the way through the PUBG Players Tour, and they've been rewarded for it.
Absolutely. We keep harping on about it, but if you haven't watched the Players Tour before and this is your first time seeing it, you need to go back and catch up on some of the previous Player Cups because Mira are such a dominant team. They have improved above and beyond the rate that anyone would have expected from them. A team that coming into this, we knew some of the names. We did not expect them to perform at this level. They are undoubtedly going to be our Super Cup champions, but all credit for that game particularly has to go to Empire. They had the deck stacked against them. When 4 Adoras made the push over onto LG, Empire realized it was their opportunity to move. I've seen some people say that Molotov was shot out in midair, but either way, that was absolutely huge performance from Empire Gaming. They don't take the most points because 4 Adoras were just so dominant in their position, stacking up the kills. But ultimately, it's all about the overall standings. It's all about 1st place, and I'm certain that Mira have it.
Oh, they have. There's no doubt about it. They're top of the leaderboard. They win. They've been phenomenal. And the scary thing is, Kawazine still has to wait another few months before he can play in FPP. The kid is knocking on the door of being the next player up, but we'll have to wait a little while longer. We get to keep him in TPP for a little bit longer, but here is your overall leaderboard. It's going to phase into your screen in a couple of seconds. There you go. It's going to fade in. Massive congratulations to Mira, Chunks. LG gets 2nd spot and a nice little bit of money for them. But Toyo get leapfrogged by Empire at the final hurdle, as Empire will get that little bit more money with that win.
And just think, if they managed to get 2 more points, they could have potentially been in 6th place to get even more. But again, Empire, they made it count towards the end. I really do feel for 55 Esports getting hot dropped early on in that match, denying them that final opportunity to get into the prize pool. But all credit, again, it goes to Team Mirror. 117 points over the course of 12 games. That is a nearly 10 point per game average. That is so impressive. All credit has to go to them. They've been the most consistent team throughout the Players Tour so far, and honestly, I'm just excited to see what this team can do in the future. When Kawazine reaches 18 and he's able to take part in those PAS events, who knows what's going to happen? Will we be seeing them at an international level? You mentioned earlier, maybe not the first time round, but there is no doubt in my mind that if they keep up this momentum, they keep up these performances, we will be seeing them at global events in the future.
100%, but we got to give massive credit to LG today for the big day that they had. It was actually very similar to the final day that they had at PAS, where they got multiple wins and tons of points. And LG have so much talent as well. Like, I've been a Bizzler fan for a long time. You add in the other players that they had, like Balefrost can be insane at times. Then you consider, you know, you do have Snakers, who is excellent as well. Even though he's technically retired, he still shows up and puts on a show. They get $1,000 for second, $1,500 for Team Mira. Rock with 800. Al-Qudsiya could not go back to back, but they get themselves another $500. And then Furia, Liquid, Empire, and Toyo will get the remaining bits of the prize pool. But it's just child's play, Chunks, because it was 5,000 this Super Cup. The next big event in TPP is for $20,000, and registrations are open now as we look at the overall team summaries.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you can stick up stats like this, look, I'm not going to doubt you, but to be on the level of these teams, you're going to have to be good. Do ! Register in chat. You could be taking part in that Masters for $20,000. You just have to be 16 years of age or older. And we've shown that even those players that are under 18 can have insane performances. I mean, look at the stats. Kawazine, a player who is not even eligible to take part in PAS, is stealing the show. 34 kills, more than 10 kills more. Sorry, 10 kills more than Luke 12, who had second place in terms of the total kills. That is absolutely huge. This is a player to watch going forward. If he can keep up this momentum, if he continues to improve at this rate, he is going to be a top-rated pickup for any team in Americas going forward.
Yeah, but why would he want to leave a team with a little project like they have as well? Like Fana has been phenomenal for this team. Fana has been great. You know, all around that team, I just see players with tons and tons of potential. Team Mira are brilliant. I hope they stick together. I hope they find success. I know that they wish they could compete in EWC quals with the roster they have here, but they just can't because of the eligibility rules with aging. But next PAS, let's see what Mira can do.
Absolutely. And Gibson, let's see you all next time, because that is the end of the Super Cup for this phase. The next big event is going to be the Masters, but to get to that, teams are going to have to qualify for the Players Cup. So we're not going to be back next weekend. We're going to be back a little bit later, but make sure you get yourself signed up. And if you can't qualify for the Players Cup, come join us next time. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Gibson, for joining me. Thank you, everyone behind the scenes. And congratulations again to Mira. Let's see what happens in the next Players Cup coming up soon.
Ever feel so for you.